Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Cabbage Head Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Had Fang For One Quirk. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. In co-POV, I woke up early due to someone knocking on the door. When I got down I opened it partly and said, "Yes, may I help you?" When I saw a blonde guy who looked like a walking skeleton I gasped and closed the door some. Once he introduced himself as Toshinori Yagi and as the guy Izuku, but I let him in. "I am sorry that my son bit you. Honestly, I guess the best death experience caused his quirk to form since when he was 6 he was diagnosed quirkless. It's okay ma'am, I understand it better now. I thought he just bit me to bite me before I found that out," Toshinori said as he rubbed the back of his head. "I want you to know I'm dropping the charges and want to talk to your son." I nodded and woke up Izuku before going to my bedroom to get ready for work. Might as well since I'm already awake. Deku POV. When my mom woke me up and told me All Might was in the living room, I got dressed in some sweatpants and a t-shirt. After my mom went back to her room, he spoke. "Young Midoriya, we need to talk. Your bite seems to have copied my quirk. That's very interesting, so have you used it?" I simply shook my head and yawned as I grab a bag of blood from the fridge to drink for breakfast. I haven't tried any of my quirks since after I got released we went to a quirk doc then had supper. After a bit of him explaining the quirk and hoping to see me at UA. Once he left I saw my mom off to work, then grabbed my temporary quirk hunt suit. Simple black jeans, slipknot shirt, black shoes with some spikes, and a simple hat with built-in sunglasses. That's when I headed out. Luckily it was a Saturday, so in the area around me most people were asleep or drunk from the usual Friday party. I walked out to the nearby drunk assembly point. Basically if you got drunk there were points in my area where you could go to eat, drink coffee, and sober up some. I began to wonder if me biting someone would make them sober up or not. When I got into the small diner I headed up to the counter and asked, "It's okay if you don't, but do you have food options for vampiric quirks?" The waitress shook her head as some guys around me laughed. "Vampiric quirk, as if such a quirk exists," one guy said as he laughed and ate his burger. I got a bit irritated as I ordered an almighty burger meal with a water. Once the waitress walked away I looked at the guy. "If you said that a few days ago I would have believed you. I'm actually a late bloomer with a vampiric quirk." He just laughed and said, "So what does your vampiric quirk do then?" When he did the air quotes I saw red. Before he could blink I moved him and his seat near the door. Once he realized what happened I laughed. "That's only the tip of the iceberg, buddy. Needle lift back." As he began to say yes I moved him back. Honestly that could just be super speed, not a vampire quirk. "Before you say your fangs are proof, there are ways to replace teeth with fake ones," the guy said, not wanting to believe me. I sighed and the waitress walked over with my food. "Earl, be nice to the kid. Your quirk is like a werewolf curse, so maybe there's a vampire counterpart." He chuckled and apologized as I ate some of my burger. "What did she mean by that?" I asked, curious. "I can become a wolf at will, but since I'm an accountant I don't really use it," Earl said as he offered his arm. "I guess if you want you can bite me. Just don't make me into one of you." We both laughed at the dumb joke, but I did bite him. His quirk was much more than he thought. His quirk is if he eats hair from an animal he can become it if he focuses on them. After the 10 seconds I pulled away. "Thanks for the drink and you need more iron in your diet." He nodded and we talked for a bit before I finished eating and went home. Once I was home I bought a lot of different animal hair samples from a science website. Main ones I got was different bats and household pets with black fur. Well, this morning was productive, now let's go get more. I got up once I ordered it all and headed back out. This time I decided to target thugs or something. After a bit of a bus ride to a more dangerous area of town. Once there I barely walked 10 steps before 2 idiots cornered me. "Hand over your money or else," one of them said with his fingers now knives with jagged teeth similar to a saw. "Hurry up, shrimp, we don't have all day," his friend said. This guy had some sort of gem body, but he was shifting between flesh and the odd gems and crystals. "So before I do it, may I ask what your quirks are first?" "I'm very curious," I asked while I looked closely at the knife fingers and the parts of crystal dude that would shift. Knife was stunned. "Wait, you're not afraid of us?" I shake my head as I poke at the gems. "Can you feel anything through these? If not, maybe if they match diamonds or whatever you can sell them." Both stayed quiet but looked at each other with "What's wrong with this kid?" looks. This is when I chose to strike. I quickly bit Gem Guy on the arm, but since I accidentally tore off a bit of his flesh and swallowed it, his quirk was instantly mine. When knife fingers attacked me I stomped on the ground and caused a wall of pigeon blood to block him. I then looked at Gem as he grew a crystal there. "You've not fully unlocked it all, but my hunch of them being real stones is true. Use them to buy your way out of this country and never return." He ran instantly after I finished talking. Once he was clear I made the wall go back into the ground as if it was never there. "Okay, knife fingers, let me drink your blood willingly or I'll take your life." I was obviously bluffing, but he fell for it. His quirk was simple but very adaptive. I can make any part of my body grow simple metal objects, and if I felt like it, can use them to climb walls like Spider-Man from my great-grandpa's comic collection. Thanks for the meal, now leave. Become a cook or sculpture maker and put your quirk to good use, or else I'll end you. Needless to say, he ran. Happy with today's bountiful hunt, I decided to go home and test my new powers. After roughly 2 hours of testing my quirks out, I fused crystal calling and metal growth together. The results lets me grow stuff like knives with diamond blades, which I can easily detach and keep forever. When Mom came home and saw me grow a pigeon's blood sword with a golden handle, she freaked out. I told her I was attacked and accidentally bit 2 guys copying their quirks. Once she calmed down, I asked her to keep it a secret, as I was scared villains would want me for my quirk copying nature. After supper, I went to my room to think about what I have done. I attacked 2 people and hopefully scared them straight. I figured out more of my quirk's abilities, and I lied to my mom. What scared me more is how much I liked the fear in their eyes and how easy it was to lie to my mom. Was I now a villain, or am I something in between a hero and a villain? Quirks so far. Fangs for One. Biting and drinking someone's blood for 10 seconds or eating a piece of their flesh lets Izuku copy their quirks. One for all, same as in the manga and anime. Sludge morph. Izuku can become an emerald-colored slime at will. Animal morph. By eating hairs of an animal, Izuku is able to become them if he focuses on them. Crystal calling. Izuku can grow gems and crystals on his body and remove them. If he wants, he can summon gem structures, then make them vanish. The gems, crystals will match naturally found versions. Metal growth. Izuku can grow metal from his body and shape it into simple objects like knives, screws, and a bat. On their own, he can't remove them, but he can choose any metal if he knows its chemical makeup. Crystalline metal growth. Izuku's first fusion quirk, which lets him grow items of both metal and crystalline bases. He can also reabsorb the created objects. First murder. Izuku POV. It's been roughly a week since my first hunt. Each person I've gone after had worthless quirks. One lets me run super fast, which I could already do. Some strength enhancers, which would be worthless without One for All and Fangs for One. And a quirk that lets me change my eye color. Actually, the last one is useful. I can now give my eyes a spiral pattern and use it to hypnotize and claim it's part of vampire, which I'm claiming on my quirk section of my ID. I've decided to go hunting near Evdiver's hero agency. The villains around there are usually tougher according to the news reports. After getting my hunting outfit on, I went to Hasu after telling my mom I would be home late. While on the train, I see Gem Dude from my first hunt. Deciding to torment him, I walked over. I thought I told you to leave the country. I quickly looked him over, seeing that he is dressed much nicer. I'm sorry, Fang, but I did take your other advice. Me and Kyle, the one with the knife fingers, we decided to get a job at a jewelry store. We've made a lot of money and went straight. I just went to my old place to grab the last suitcase of my stuff, and I am taking it to my new apartment in Hasu. At first, I glared at him at first, which is hard to see through the sunglasses, then smiled. Good to hear, Gemhead. I hope the bite healed well. GH stared at me a tad stunned. You're not mad, and the bite vanished about a minute after I ran. With a laugh, I shook my head. No, I'm glad you listened to part of my advice. I hope you and Kyle do awesome at your jobs. We talked for a bit and she showed me some of his and Kyle's works. A very detailed snake band made of green gold with fire opal eyes was my favorite. I like this. Can I keep the picture? I'll make a version of this for my mom later. He just nodded and gave me his email. Since you got me and Kyle on the straight and narrow, you make an email and message us and we will send you all of our designs. It's the least we can do. Small note, there's actually a green gold. Green gold. This alloy is created by mixing silver, copper, and zinc to yellow gold. 18K green gold will be greener than 14K green gold. When the train stopped, we went separate ways, him home and me to the bank. Before I left, I noticed a pattern of local bank robberies and figured the bank I'm heading to was next. My hunch was right when, after waiting about 10 minutes, 3 idiots barged into the bank and said, "This is a robbery. Don't notify the heroes or pull any stunts and you all will live." I nearly barfed at how cringy it was. Damn, couldn't they have said something else? After everyone laid down on their stomachs, I quickly moved behind them. Damn, you three are horrible. This is a robbery. Simon, I could have come up with something better. Now listen to me. Drop to the ground and pray All Might saves you before I rip your ignorant heads off. As I gave my threat, I formed a mix of black tungsten blades and fire opal spikes all over my arms and head. Under my clothes, I made diamonds form similar to a bulletproof vest. Now will you listen or die? 2 dropped down and I glared at the last one. This guy was a gorilla with odd purple crystals. Exterior bows to no one. Okay, Max Steel villain wannabe, it's your funeral. As I said that, my body moved on its own. I actually bit his head off. The pigeon's blood helmet I formed cut off his head as I bit on his forehead, getting his quirk. A simple quirk where he can become any character from an animated show with their ability. eyes. I dropped his head and bit the two cowards. Their quirks were basic but useful: walk, run on water, and a phasing quirk that bite marks you. If you two do another crime, you'll end up like exterior here. But then I walked out only to see Endeavor. Normally a fanboy, but seeing him up close I got an instant hate for him. Kneel, villain, or I will make you into ashes. No asking what happened, nothing. He just threatened me, which only made my blood boil. This time I actually wanted someone to die. With a smirk under my helmet I yelled, "How about you just let me leave and you claim the two bozos and their dead friend who actually tried to rub this place?" When his answer was his signature Prometheus blast, I formed a quick diamond wall behind me, shielding the people in the bank as I took the main part of the blast. The diamond shielding I had easily absorbed and moved the heat elsewhere, and any minor burns I got instantly healed. Bad choice, number poo hero. Now how about you let me leave, or— I waited a few seconds and deepened my voice to sound threatening. "I'll season you with salt and pepper and sear you over a campfire." I guess this startled him as he took a couple of steps back. "How did you survive that blast, you freak?" "Now I'm madder than Kakin." I chuckled and started to walk over to him. Diamonds are pretty good at transferring heat, plus I've gotten worse burns from a pissed-off Pomeranian. With those words I formed two fire opal blades on my wrists with black tungsten veins going through them. Now back down or die. I rather not end a hero. Villains I am fine with, but heroes I'm iffy on. Guess he wanted to double down cause he used his fire to launch himself at me, then carry me into the sky over Hasu. After we got pretty high up, I made my crystal helmet open up just enough for him to see me. "Since you're about to die, I'll let you see my face." His eyes opened wide in shock as I bit off his head, ate some of his forehead. Needless to say, but when we landed we caused a massive crater. Before running off I impaled his body and head on spikes of fire opal and removed the protective wall I formed. Once that was done I ran off to my secret spot where I stashed a backup matching outfit. Once I was changed I walked through a few valleys where I met another teenager. Half of his hair was snow white while the other was blood red. I quickly walked over. I knelt in front of him. His clothes and arms were burnt. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" He shook his head and looked up at me. "I'm fine, I'm just hiding from my dad." I sat next to him and sighed. "I'm guessing your father burned you. What in a hole? Why isn't he in prison?" His response couldn't have been timed better. "It's because he is Endeavor and all his crimes are overlooked." I chuckled some. "Well, I guess you can say karma got him. He's currently dead and impaled on spikes of fire opal." When the dual-haired kid looked at me in doubt, I formed a fire opal shell over my unique hair and turned my eyes black before removing my hat with built-in sunglasses. "I'm guessing you want proof." Before he can do anything I mimic Endeavor's stupid fire hair and mask. After a few seconds I stopped the fire, replaced my hat. I ended him and copied his quirk. "If you want revenge you can fight me." What he did next shocked me. He started to laugh and cry. After a bit he hugged me. "Thank you so much. My nightmare is finally over. If I could, I'd like to pay you for ending him." When I finally understood his reaction, I hugged him back and gently pulled away. "I just want a drink." "Well, two actually. Something strong and some of your blood. I need something to wash his bitter taste out of my mouth." Seriously, he tasted like a turkey who was deep fried for way too long mixed with ash. I stick out my tongue and made a wrenching noise, causing the boy to laugh. At least he didn't taste like flaming sit. At this we both started to laugh uncontrollably. When we both calmed down, he took me to his house where we both drank some soda and I drank some of his blood. As a test I made sure to leave a good amount of spit on him. Before he could say "you," the spit vanished. His burns healed as if they never happened, and the bite mark vanished. So my spit heals. That's new. Must be a part of my natural quirk. When he asked, I told him about Fangs For One and the quirks I've copied, including his. He didn't freak out, he just shrugged and accepted it. When his older brother and sister arrived a bit later, he said, "Dad is finally dead. May his soul burn in hell and his murder get away with it." I honestly expected his siblings to berate him. Instead, they cheered as well and brought out some vintage wine from a very, very long time ago. After a couple of glasses, they realized I was there and said, Shoto, who's this and why is he wearing sunglasses?" Laughing, he said, "Brother, sister, I'd like to introduce you to his murderer." When he said that, I quickly jumped off the couch and close to the doorway as I formed some tungsten blades on my hands. Instead of them screaming or attacking, they thanked me. They thanked me, the guy who just ended their father. That's when they told me their history and swore not to tell anyone that they met me. Deciding to trust them, I removed my hat. "Well, it's a relief that you're not mad at me, but instead of calling me Fangs, how about you know my real name? Izuku Midori." After that we talked and played some games before a cop knocked on the door. I quickly hid as a bat since the hair I ordered arrived pretty quickly, and there were some good places to hide in the rafters as one. They talked to the cops pretending to be heartbroken, but Shoto acted uncaring, which actually suited him. When that was all over, I changed back and stood near the door. "I think it's best I leave, just in case family friends arrive." They agreed and gave me their numbers, and after a good 10 to 15 minutes I ran to the train and went home. When I arrived, my mom cornered me. Please don't tell me you ended Endeavor. I didn't want to lie to her, but I somewhat did. What I told her was that I was hunting for quirks and met Shoto covered in burns. After I healed him using my saliva, he told me Endeavor did it and his hate for him. I then went home with Shoto and met his 2 siblings who hated Endeavor as much as he did. Then I told her about the bank bit and me ending Endeavor. My mom by the end of this was furious. I thought she was going to blow a fuse and hit me until she said, "That bastard deserved to die. Did you make it quick and painless or slow and agonizing?" I told her the former, and she told me that I were to end someone like Endeavor again, make sure it lasted a while. She took me out to eat katsudon and when we got home gave me a new outfit. My new quirk hunting outfit. At first I thought it was a ninja costume until I saw some holes in my palms and other areas so I wouldn't ruin the outfit forming them. From now on, wear this my crystalline ninja. I don't care if you become a hero or a villain who ends evil people, just know I'm proud of you, Izuku. My mom hugged me then headed off to bed. Get to bed and this weekend we can do some research on different villains and heroes. Let's change the world. I just laughed and told her good night before going to bed. I slept really peacefully, no guilt or nightmares. Instead I dreamt of a future where everyone quirkless or now are treated equal and no hero is in it for fame or money. Let the cleansing begin. Quirks so far. Fangs for One. Biting and drinking someone's blood for 10 seconds or eating a piece of their flesh lets Izuku copy their quirks. One for all, same as in the manga and anime. Sludge morph. Izuku can become an emerald-colored slime at will. Animal morph. By eating hairs of an animal, Izuku is able to become them if he focuses on them. Crystal calling. Izuku can grow gems and crystals on his body and remove them. If he wants, he can summon gem structures then make them vanish. The gems, crystals will match naturally found versions. Metal growth. Izuku can grow metal from his body and shape it into simple objects like knives, screws, and a bat. On their own he can't remove them, but he can choose any metal if he knows its chemical makeup. Crystalline metal growth. Izuku's first fusion quirk, which lets him grow items of both metal and crystalline bases. He can also reabsorb the created objects. Animation mimic. Izuku can become anyone from an animated film or TV series and use their abilities. Water walker. Self-explanatory. Phase state. This quirk lets Izuku walk through walls that are not lead, radioactive, or thicker than 1 foot. Beholds fire. Endeavor's quirk, which Izuku is planning on destroying later. Might put it in an animal then destroy it. Half hot, half cold. Shoto Todoroki's quirk. Izuku POV. It's been months since I've ended in Ho. Shoto and I have been meeting up every few days where he and I hunt down possible quirks for me to use. Yesterday he somehow found a base for the League of Villains. Apparently he has seen at least 7 different people walk in and out. After I've watched the place for about a week, I decided to just walk in wearing a disguise. After putting on my quirk hunting outfit, I formed gems over my eyes and hair. I headed into the building. Once inside I saw it was a bar and there were already some people there. A blonde girl with fangs throwing knives at a dartboard, a scar face with staples all over, some vapor person who's cleaning a beer mug, some blue-haired guy with a hand fetish, and a Deadpool ripoff. Before I could even say something, HF caused a glass to decay into dust. Get out of our bar before you end up like that glass. If this had happened before I got a quirk, I would have ran like the devil knew my name. For some reason I just chuckled and removed my head, showing my fire opal cap and eye covers. I'm sorry to intrude, but I just need a drink. Some of my gems are still singed. Apparently this is enough for them to realize I ended in Devhor, since all of them except Smokey to back away. Blondie, wait, you've ended hothead number 2. My reply was a simple nod as I make his flames appear in one of my hands. This caused a voice to come through a small TV. I didn't notice at first, so you can take quirks too. How exactly is your done? I glared at the TV. I don't answer cowards who don't show their faces. This upset HF so badly he instantly tried to decay me. Before he could touch me, I quickly moved to another stool which was behind him. Calm down, hand fetish. I was just stating a fact. My comment made the rest of the people here laugh, or at least that's what I think Vaporface was doing. Kinda hard to tell with him. TV, calm down, Taomura. Everyone can have their opinions. HF, Taomura, but sensei, he called you a coward. TV, enough TOUMORA. Kirigiri, can you warp our guest to me after he gets his drink? Vaporface, Kirigiri, as you wish, master. So what would you like to drink, number 2 ender? Me, can everyone just hold out their arms for a bit? Unfortunately, I only drink blood, and don't worry, the bites instantly heal and I won't take much from you. Even you, Vaporface, I can still drink from something that's not solid. Blondie instantly put her arm out. If I can bite back, we are even. The rest were hesitant until the TV told them to, since he didn't want me to be thirsty when I visit him. Once everyone had their arms out, I bit them all. Taomura had a decay quirk which might be useful to escape people. Bleach Deadpool had a duplication quirk which might be very useful to spy on people or create alibis. Kirigiri was surprised when I was able to bite him. What kind of fangs do you have? I shrugged and licked my lips as I copied his warping quirk. No clue, but you taste really good. Blondie and I traded bites, but instead of her getting blood, she got a mouthful of pigeon's blood. She spit out the gems and pouted as I gained her blood-based transformation quirk. Staples and Bleach Deepool laughed at her expense. Blondie growled after getting the last gem out. Keep laughing, Dabai. You're next and his fangs do burn. I bit him and instantly tore off a section of his arm. Before he could yell in pain and try to end me, his arm instantly healed. Dabai pinned me to the wall before yelling, "What the F was that, a hole? That hurt." I chuckled. "Sorry about that, Dabai. You taste just like your father but less ashy." I couldn't help myself. Tauya Todoroki. If his skin wasn't ash gray where he wasn't scarred, I bet his face would have turned snow white. The bar went silent until Kirigiri warped me to the dude who was talking through the TV. The room or whatever I was warped to was cold, dark, and large. Once I got back onto my feet from the sudden warp, I changed my eyes to see in the dark and looked at what used to be a man. Lots of life support machines connected to him and no face except for his mouth. "So you can see in this darkness. What all do you have quirk-wise?" the living corpse asked. "I've lost track since I've ended the number poo hero. Your followers' quirks are useful, but they don't have full control yet. They've barely tapped into some of their quirks except Bleach Deadpool." I replied as I form a diamond chair to sit on. "So what do you want to talk about, TV man?" He laughed and said, "So you've finally awakened your Fang's son. It's been a long time, Izuku Midoriya." I made sure to sound oblivious and confused. "Who's that?" "I honestly have no clue who you're talking about. I do go by Fang though." He laughed and breathed some fire from his mouth, which he quickly put out when he accidentally got a machine. "I know my own son. It's been 9 years since I've seen you in Inko." I walked over to the guy claiming to be my father with rage. I slapped him and bit him, copying every single quirk in him. When I hit his original quirk All For One and a vampirism quirk, I instantly knew those two made mine. Once I was done, I backed away. Great, my dad is a villain. The one thing I hate worse than fake heroes. I understand now why you left, but why didn't you try to contact me and Mom? Did you know what I went through for the past 10 years? My voice was filled with rage and bloodlust, but when he replied, I knew he was sincere. I knew what you went through, but if I hadn't locked away your quirk so it would only come out when you're about to die, it would have been worse. A son of a villain usually get ended. If I could, I would have stayed and trained you, but with All Might chasing me, I had no choice. I laugh. So the person I used to idolize is the reason my father left. Well, he's the reason I see the truth behind heroes. He's next on my murder list, but I'm going to make it a big event. Where all are you hurt? After he told me, I spit on him, which began to heal him before he got mad. The machines in him popped out as his body was restored. I think I may have went overboard as he began to look like a 14-year-old like me. Sorry, Dad, I didn't know it was so potent. I rubbed the back of my head as I undid the gems on me. As we looked at each other, I realized the only difference we had was hair and eye color. His snow white and mine a lush green. That's when I came up with an idea. Hey Dad, wanna cause some hell at UA with me? You look like my twin after all. When he realized it, we both smirked and I created an emerald version of Kirigiri skates and walked into the bar. Tamura, where did Gemhead go and why do you have a warp quirk? Dad, sit down Tamura before I remove your quirk. Tamura quickly sat down as he recognized his voice even though it was younger. I copied everyone's quirk when I bit them. My quirk is very similar to my dad's. I told everyone with a smirk. My dad then said, my quirk is All For One, just like my villain name, but my son's is more advanced with his. I can't copy quirks, but he can, and without prolonged contact. Now if you excuse us, we have 9 long years to catch up on. We started to walk out when Blondie stopped us. Okay, so why do you look like twins and you owe me some blood? She gave me a creepy smile when she said I owed her. I accidentally overdid my healing spit so he got younger and all I said was a bite. Never promised you blood. That's my boy. We both laugh as I warped us home, leaving a room of shocked villains and one pissed off Beach. After I showed him around our new house, which I paid for when I beat up robbers and gambled in fights I knew I'd win. Dad was surprised that Mom was okay with it. I chuckled and showed him some diamond-bladed knives, some jewelry and such. It helps that I bribe her, but she's glad I'm changing the world one false hero at a time. That's when Mom came home. Hey Izuku, who's your friend? As she asked, she was putting away the shopping and pulling out the ingredients for Katsuden. Inko, it's been a while. I'm sorry about what I have done to you and Izuku. My dad actually was sorry and looked at, but I couldn't help but chuckle. Dad, I can't help it, but you act like me when I'm sorry. It looks so silly and cute. I fell to the floor laughing, causing my dad to glare at me and my mom to hug him and cry. Once we all got ourselves back together, we all caught up and ate supper. That's when I told Mom my plan to really ruin people's views on heroes with Dad. Mom, our plan is to claim Dad as my long-lost twin, which you thought was dead. We will both then go to UA and learn all the quirks we can and all we can about heroes. Dad chuckled. I will get the paperwork done to make it look real. Once we get into the school, we will cause small villain events to happen until we ruin the school's reputation. Once that is done, we reveal ourselves and end all the heroes at once. Honestly, Izuku, how much have you planned of it already? I smirked. I've planned out some events but not where or when. We need to get into the school to do that bit. Also this. I gently bit my dad, but instead of drinking his blood I blew, imagining the quirks he didn't have getting copied into his body. Once I was done I watched him use gem calling for a bit. Do you still have this in your collection, son? You'll need it to keep up your appearance as the Pooh Slayer. We all laugh at the joke and I formed my swords. Trust me dad, with us both having fangs for one we will be unstoppable. Let's change the world one bite at a time. Izuku POV. It's roughly been 2 months since dad and I have reunited and started training at a nearby beach. We cleaned it together by moving it into a pile and crushing it down a lot. Once we got a complete pile we waited till it was night time to eat it, thanks to a metal absorbian quirk which turns metal into energy and makes our other quirks stronger. Honestly, it wasn't much of a boost, but it was a start. We fought each other on the beach for a while as a way to help dad adjust to his younger body and me to learn multiple fighting styles. Dad, Izuku, why don't we quirk hunt later? We could use a few more fighting or creation-based quirks. Me, I guess, but there's not many that are easy to get to. The Monkey King quirk is in America and the only creation quirk I know is. Dad, after waiting a second, you think of something so. I mean Izuku. Me, what would happen if we fused AFO with creation? Would we be able to create anything without any drawbacks, or would we be able to make quirks? Dad, I don't know, but let's find out. Where's the creation quirk at? After we train till the sun sets we decide to head to the Yaoyorozu estate. Once we got near, dad started to laugh. As I gave him an odd look he called someone on his phone. After a minute of him talking and using a voice-altering quirk, the gate opened and a guard lead us into the house. Once we entered the mansion we were led to the foyer where we waited. That's when a young woman walked in and bowed to us. Momo. Hello, I am Momo. It's nice to meet the kids of one of the stockholders in my parents' company. What's your two's names? Me. I am Izuku and this is my twin brother Hisashi. We both were hoping to train with a person getting into UA through recommendations. I must apologize in advance just in case. Our quirk is vampiric in nature and we might bite you. Momo, wait, those kinds of quirks exist. I thought they were in this. Dad laughing a bit. No, they are quite real. Depending on how much blood we have we get stronger or faster for a limited amount of time. Me, there is a werewolf quirk too. I met a person with it in a dinner once. Momo, quite interesting. I'll remember your advanced apology just in case it happens. She then gave us directions to the private gym and went to change into her training outfit. Once we got there and put our bags down I looked at my dad. Me, how are you connected to the Yaoyorozu company? Dad, he sells me gear or does us favors while we steal patents, trade secrets, or end for him. Very good deal since it's very easy. Once I got that answer we removed our hoodies, leaving us both in sweatpants and a tank top with thick-soled shoes. When Momo walked in I nearly got a nosebleed. She was in a red bikini top and booty shorts with light blue sneakers. What my dad said next made me slap him, but we both laughed at how absurd it was. Dad whispering in my ear, if only I wasn't married and was actually this age. Momo, you two ready to train? Dad, yes, but why are you in a swimming suit? Momo blushing, my quirk is creation and it requires my skin to be exposed. Once we hear that we both apologize for being insensitive and get ready to train. We started off with some hand-to-hand fighting between the three of us before we did some quirk-based fighting. As I punched Dad into the air, Momo shot me with a effing cannon. After I get over the shock I quickly dashed to behind her and bite her arm. When I had copied her quirk I moved away only to see her blushing as she tossed me new pants and shirt. I didn't understand why at first till I quickly looked down and rushed to a nearby bathroom to get into the clothes. My dad was on the floor laughing since what I didn't realize when she shot me all my clothes except for my boxers and shoes were vaporized. After changing I walked in blushing darkly with my dad still laughing his damn head off. Me, I am so sorry I bit you basically nude. I didn't realize it as I hit blood frenzy. Hisashi, if you tell Mom I'm destroying your favorite plushie. That threat made my dad quit laughing, causing Momo to laugh and apologize as well. Once we hot drinks and a small snack, Dad and I left, scheduling another training session in 2 days, without the cannon. Hisashi, a FOPOV. As we walked home I glared at my son. Me, I swear if you touch any of my plushies I will tear off your arms and make you eat them. Izuku only nodded as he messed with Momo's quirk. Once he was done he smirked as he caused a tail to pop out of his back and hair grow over his forearms. Izuku, Dad, we can create custom quirks now. I have a few quirks I want to make for fun, but immortality, a furless monkey king, and a knowledge quirk are definitely needed. Me, I agree, but what are you making for fun? If they're powerful enough or just able to cause chaos I want them. Also add shapeshifting to the list. Izuku, one lets me create specters just to screw with people and claim it's vampire. The other lets me copy items and abilities from anime and such. It's honestly a boost from the become an animated character quirk I copied before I ended in Dev Whore. Me, I thought you were just claiming it. You actually ended him. Izuku, yep, and made his 3 kids that were living with him into villains. Shoto, lead me to you. We then headed home and gave each other quirks as we made them. As a joke, I created a fart laser and gave it to Izuku. The timing couldn't have been any better. The literally second I gave it to him before he fully understood it, he farted. An emerald green laser left his rear, hit a nearby car's side mirrors, then hit a bookstore's window, causing its alarm to go off. The look on his face was priceless. The perfect mix of what just happened, holy Sid, and anger. Once he got over his shock, I ran home as fast as I could with him cussing me out as he chased me. Inko was waiting for us with a cast iron skillet on her lap. Inko, now boys, why are you home late? My sweet cinnamon roll cussing, and an alarm going off nearby. Izuku, we are late because we went after a certain quirk. The alarm and cussing are both Dad's fault. Inko, so Hisashi cared to explain what quirk you two got and why those two things are your fault. She then began to hit the pen to her hand, glaring at me. I love Inko, but she scares me. The quirk was creation. With it fused with AFO, we can literally create any quirk we desire with the drawbacks we want, if any. While I used the quirk to create fart lasers, gave it to Izuku right before he farted, causing him to destroy a bookstore window. Just as I finished saying that, she literally used the cast iron skillet to send me through the door and into the street. Once she fully registered what happened, she apologized, helped me in with a boosted telekinesis Izuku gave her, and started laughing. After Inko got me in, Izuku fixed the door. Izuku, Mom, do you want more quirks? I know you just prefer the psychic type, but with quirk creation you can make any quirk. Inko, sure, why not? Just don't give me anything with farts or lasers. Izuku went to bed angry as Inko and I laughed our asses off. I gave her some quirks before we watched TV together until we fell asleep on the love seat. How much I missed civilian life. Izuku POV. It is finally time to do the test to enter UA. For the past few months, Dad and I trained with Momo and created some vampiric quirks to use with what we already had. Once we had gotten a good few, I registered my quirk, changing the quirk bit on my ID from quirkless to ultimate vampire. Dad, of course, finished his fake paperwork and put his quirk as the same thing. Under quirk description, we simply put, Ultimate Vampire boosts our natural abilities and gives us more as we drink blood straight from different people. Dad, ready to take the test, son? Do you think we should go on a small feeding frenzy after the test? No need. I created a new quirk I called Quirk Eyes. It copies any quirk as long as we look at its user. For example, I just have to look at Mount Lady in person and I got her quirk. Dad, your mind scares me. You must think 5 moves ahead at chess. Actually, I think 20 ahead and at least 5 possible reactions for each. Plus, I created a mind-boosting quirk so I can do a lot more. After that little chat, we ate breakfast, which was fried egg sandwiches and a glass of blood. Mom wished us both luck and sent us on our way with a few pouches of blood just in case we go into a frenzy. As we walked to UA, I gave Dad the new quirks I made. Hisashi, since this is a hero test, there might be a hidden objectives. If someone gets in trouble, help them out. Dad, only to do our plan. Hopefully we will both be in the same testing zone so we can work together and get a higher score. Not likely, but it may happen. If we do end up in separate ones, don't work with anyone but help if they are in trouble. I read the pamphlet they sent in the mail. There's 4 robots and all are really big, so building in their test zones may be destroyed. Dad, so rescue if needed, destroy bots otherwise. I simply nodded and we both talk about different shows we enjoyed and some very old cartoons. When some guy with a shark head bumped into me and didn't apologize, my dad flipped him and made him apologize, calling him a street shark ripoff. When I asked, he explained it was an old American cartoon with mutants caused by science instead of quirks, and there were a few other cartoons like it too. Once we got to the school, I tripped only for some brunette to stop me from falling. She apologized for using her quirk. Brunette, I'm sorry about using my quirk on you. I just believe tripping before a test is bad luck. An Uraraka Ochako. It's okay. I'm Midoriya Izuku and this is my brother Hisashi. I'm guessing you're going after the hero course too. She nodded and the 3 of us talked as we walked up to the building until Kaken struck. Bakugo Katsuki Aka Kaken, move it you worthless Deku. He shoved me into my dad, then look at us. Kaken, what the F? How the F are there 2 of you Dekus now? Kaken, meet my twin brother Hisashi. My mom thought he died right after birth, but instead he was illegally adopted. We just reunited after summer break started. Kaken, great, now I have to deal with 2 quirkless losers. Dad angrily, don't call us Dekus or worthless, also neither of us are quirkless. We are both just late bloomers. Now apologize to my brother or else. He then showed his fangs to Kaken, making sure he saw how sharp they are. Kaken quickly backed away, not expecting it, which made me chuckle, showing my fangs. Kaken, really Deku, fake fangs? Simon, there are no such things as vampires. With that, Dad and I got the same idea. We both grab Kaken and carry him to the entrance to the school's property in less than a second before getting back to where we were. We both laughed as Kaken looked confused. Once we stopped laughing, Uraraka, Dad, and I went into the school to start the entrance exam. Dad and I aced the written portion of it and quickly went to the auditorium to wait for the fighting bit. As Present Mike, the loudest, most annoying hero ever, was explaining the bots, some blue-haired nerd interrupted, making me groan. Blue hair. According to the pamphlet, there are 4 bots, not 3, so either your notes are wrong or you made one major misprint. Also, you 2 twins. Using your quirks to move a person away from the building is not heroic. If that's the only reason you're here, leave. B. It was a small prank on a friend of mine, and I am sure that if you had stayed quiet he would have explained the bit you were asked. Now how about you sit down and shut up before I move you to the door? Kaken was stunned. The blue-haired guy sat down, and Dad was proud of me. Present Mike. As I was about to say, the 4th bot is a 0-pointer that must be avoided. Also, if anyone else interrupt, the broccoli and cauliflower-looking twins have my permission to escort you out of the building, thereby failing you. After that, no one interrupted until the section where you were allowed to ask questions. We were then split up to our respective testing areas. Dad and I were at the same area along with Uraraka and the blue nerd. I was going to help calm down Uraraka, who looked tense, when blue nerd stopped me. Blue, don't you dare ruin her focus. If she fails, I'm blaming you. Me, look, blue hair, I'm going to calm her down to return the favor for her helping me earlier. Now you're being a hypocrite by sticking your nose in my business. Now get in line and shut up. I quickly walked over to Uraraka, calming her down, causing her to smile and relax some. Once she was relaxed, Dad and I got ready, mirroring each other's starting pose since we both had an attack plan. Once Present Mike said go, we caused a sonic boom as we ran in and raised hell. We would trade off tossing bots and destroying them, so we both had the same points. After we both got 60 each, we felt the ground shake and people started to run away screaming. We both saw why. The 0-pointer was taller than a 4-story building and was heading right for us. After looking it over, I saw Uraraka was trapped under some rubble from the building the bot was destroying. Me, you save her, I got the bot. Dad ran down and started to throw the rubble covering her at the robot, freeing her as he attacked. I then jumped at the robot, forming a giant blade of pigeon's blood. Once it was fully formed and I was close enough, I cut off its head and kicked it into an area with no building or people, causing a crater, and the head to be a metal pancake. Of course, Uraraka thanked us, and Present Mike grabbed Dad and I, leading us to the principal's office. Principal Nezu. Hello, Izuku and Hisashi. I'm Principal Nezu, and before you ask, no, I don't know what species I am. Now you're both here because you both have the same quirk. What aspect of it did you use to form that blade? Me, drinking some blood. Sorry about drinking in front of you, but creating the blood crystal sword makes me hungry and I don't want to bite someone. The blade was made of my blood and some water from my body. We don't know how far our quirk goes ability-wise, but one big drawback is that if we overuse it, we go into a blood frenzy where we bite people. It does make us stronger, but causes people to hate us. Dad, honestly, we are both learning about it because we both are late bloomers. It wasn't until the last day of the last school year and 2 months after for us both to manifest our quirks. Nezu, so which one of you bit All Might? I looked down and raised my hand as my dad looked at me surprised. Dad, stunned, you bit our idol? Why didn't you tell me you met him? Nezu, well, even if you didn't apply, All Might wanted to have you accepted to UA, but I didn't know you had a twin. We told him the lie, he believed it, and we left. Once we get back to the entrance to the property, we get stopped by Kaken. Dad and I wanted to slap him as he started his attempt to bully us. Kaken, I saw you both got escorted to the principal's office. Did you Dekus get banned from the school? He starts to laugh. Dad, no, we were told we were both going into class of 1 when school starts. We both passed with flying colors. We even destroyed a 0-pointer. Me, yep, and if you do end up in that class with us, I will not tolerate bullying. If you try to, there will finally be consequences. With him stunned by what I was saying, Dad and I headed home to eat supper with Mom. We were all proud that we both were instantly accepted, but we wouldn't know our scores until the letters were sent out. After supper, I texted Momo. Me, hey Momo Hisashi, and I got instantly accepted. Momo, that's awesome. You know which class you are in? Me, Principal Nezu said a 1. Momo, then both of you are in my class. Me, awesome, I will see you in 2 weeks as classmates. The letter with our scores will show up next week and class starts the week after. Momo, okay, see you then. Let the 3 of us all be awesome heroes. Me, the greatest true heroes. Night. After that I went to bed. When the week was over, we got our letters and we found out we both scored over 200 points cause we both got shared points instead of individual points, since teamwork is another hidden point gainer. Mom and Dad was shocked but proud of me, but then they decided to talk to me. Dad, son, I know the main reason you joined the school is to destroy fake heroes, but if you'd rather be a hero, I will support you. Mom, we both know you wanted to be a hero as you grew up, but the choice is yours. Me, I already am a hero. Ending in DevHor got me a family calling me a hero, and from now on we will live a double life. We will end heroes only in it for fame and arresting people for no reason. We will be true heroes, making the world a much better place. We may be called villains, but we know the truth, but we will have to change the League of Villains. Dad, that's my boy. He and Mom then cried as the 3 of us planned our new plan to change the world 1 country at a time. Izuku POV. Dad and I hopped through my bedroom window after another hunt. I groaned as I flopped onto my bed. My dad looked at me confused until I started to talk. These past 5 hunts have been horrible. We only find thugs and heroes so weak a glue-based quirk could stop them. One's weakness was literally grapes. He should have been a cop instead. So worthless I couldn't resist upgrading him some. Dad, I thought that was what you were up to. Hopefully he becomes a great hero. If not, I will end him myself. I'm gonna shower and get ready for class. I took my shower and got ready for school as Dad did the same thing after me. Mom took our bloodied clothes and masks, cleaning them before we left. We made some bets on who our homeroom teacher will be and if we will skip the orientation assembly. Dad, I am betting ectoplasm and we go to it. $50 to the winner and the loser has to use fart lasers for a day. I bet it's Eraserhead and we don't go. His quirk would be very useful to teach students control. Also, he's kinda cut back on his underground hero work. We walked into our classroom and I literally growled. Kaken is in our class. The entire classroom went quiet as I walked over to Kaken. Feet of the desk Kaken, and no BS this year, got it. Kaken, what are you going to do, Deku? Cry to your clone for help. Mr. Aizawa, may I move him to the hall? The entire class looked confused till what everyone thought was a bag behind the teacher's podium stood up, revealing his face. Some girls screamed thinking it was a giant man-faced grub until he unzipped his yellow sleeping bag. After looking me over, he began tossing everyone gym uniforms. Aizawa, you must be Izuku Midoriya, and the answer is no. Eat him to Zone Beta outside. Dad, I got the window. He walks over and opens it for me. Once the window is open, I grab Kaken by his school jacket. His smirk didn't leave his face until I spoke again. All aboard Air Midoriya. There are no seatbelts or safety equipment, so tuck and roll when you get there. His smirk vanished and he turned pale as I threw him through the open window. The entire class watched him fly through the air and create a crater at where we were about to head. Aizawa, now everyone get changed and head to the crater that was Bakugo. We are skipping orientation, so let's go. About 6 minutes later, we are all there along with an old lady who was healing Kaken. Once he was healed, he grumbled and got changed. That's when some midget with grapes on his head poked me in the legs. Minta, hey bud, do you have a history with that angry guy? Also, I'm Minta. Yes, he's my former bully. I'm done with it though. He nodded and Aizawa called me up to a circle. Once I was there, we waited for Kaken to arrive since he didn't want to repeat himself. Aizawa, now Midoriya, since you and your brother got the top score at the exam, I want you to toss this ball as far as possible using your quirk. Just don't leave the circle. I'm guessing the ball has a tracker on it. Does it have a speedometer as well? When Aizawa nodded, I looked at Dad with a slight smirk. Can we test our fast bowls too? My brother and I want to see our limits and catch up on lost time. Aizawa, as long as you don't leave this circle, I don't care. Hisashi, let's play some baseball. Mr. Aizawa, you may want to back up some. After I tossed the ball to my dad and he got in position for him to pitch it, I formed a bat made of pigeon's blood, scaring a bunch of the class, including Kaken. I got ready to hit the ball, and when Dad threw it, causing a sonic boom, I hit it. The sound of my bat hitting it caused a giant boom and created a large crack in the ground. I did the same for Dad, and needless to say, we both got infinity for this section's score. We did the other sections and we kept first place the entire time. Last place was Minda, who looked down. When Momo tried to cheer him up, that little grapist groped her ass. I saw red and I pinned him to the ground while I made my nails blood red and much longer. You pervert. How dare you do anything like that, and you say you want to be a hero. Now apologize and straighten up. Minda crying scared. I'm sorry. I promise not to be a pervert anymore. Please let me go. I let him go only for Aizawa to grab him in his odd scarf. Dad then handed me a blood pouch, which I quickly drained. Sorry about pinning you down, Minda, but I hate womanizers and I needed to drink some blood. Aizawa, all of you go to lunch, then go to your next class. Minda, you're coming with me to the principal. We all went to the locker rooms, showered, got changed, and went to lunch. Dad and I sat with Momo and Uraraka. Momo, I'm glad that we are in the same class. I hope you've made your outfits blast-proof. When Uraraka asked for what that meant, I covered Momo's mouth. Just something that happened during training. Bro, Momo, please don't embarrass me. Also, Momo, I designed our outfits with blood storage for us. Uraraka, so what's your quirk? I saw you make a bat, grow your nails. And your physical abilities are astounding. Dad, our quirk is called Ultimate Vampire. Basically, the more blood we drink from different people, the more powerful we get. It also helps us heal faster. We still don't know our limits yet. I have an idea we can try later. I read that according to some people that vampires could boost others' abilities. Dad, oh yeah, and hypnotize them. Maybe we can use that to cure Minta. Momo, so how would we test the boosting bit? It's done by a bite if I read the tales correctly. I wonder how it will affect your creation quirk. Momo, let's find out. I gently bit her arm and boost her quirk by swapping out her need to use her body fats and skin exposure out so she collects energy from the air and can form items through her clothes. Once I let go of her arm, it instantly healed back up. Uraraka, well, how does it heal so fast like it never happened? Dad, no clue at all. It could be either our spit or our teeth inject a quick healing venom or something. As we were talking, Momo began to test out the edit I made to her quirk. She formed a parrot doll on her shoulder through her uniform. She then realized she was drawing energy from the air around her and chuckles a bit. Momo, boost to quirks proven. I just formed this through my clothes and I didn't use my body fat. I drew energy from the air and made it into the doll. So maybe you can boost more people later. Me drinking some extra blood. Bad idea, honestly. I nearly went into a blood rage. So maybe one person a week as of now, plus we don't know how long it'll last. If it ended mid-fight, who knows what would happen. We all nodded and went to class to finish the day. As Dad and I walked home, he teased me. Dad, you have a crush on Momo, don't you? You're hoping to make her love you so she will become a true hero. Me, yes to both, and I'm not boosting anyone. I had to use a new quirk to change hers, but I made it have a drawback so I don't just boost people on a whim. Dad, good point. Now should we just relieve the grapist of his perverted ways or give him a taste of his own medicine? Me, what are you planning? Dad, make him into a female, hypnotize some men to sexually harass him, and undo it the next day. I bet Aizawa would enjoy it. Me, oh yeah, you lost the bet. You owe me $50 and I'll only make you use laser farts during our next hunt. Dad laughing, what a crappy way to go. Death by farts. We laughed and joked on the way home as I wrote down the punishment idea to give Aizawa tomorrow. I got my money and we ended a low-level hero from America that night. The dude left America because he was caught abusing his wife. Needless to say, death by farts was way more than he deserved. I would have tortured him for a while then ended him, but this would be one embarrassing way to teach him his lesson. AFOPOV. I stumbled down the hall after some special time with Mrs. Needless to say, my son was a bit surprised when he saw my body from years ago. Son, oh morning Dad, so that's what you looked like before all jerk-off ruined your face. Me, yes my son. So what shall we do today to that? What did you call him? The grapist? Son, I hope you don't mind, but I tried something using Toga and Dabai. Needless to say, Dabai wasn't too happy. Me glaring at him. Son, what did you do to him? Son fidgeting. I injected Toga's blood into him, causing him to become a taller, burnt version of Toga. He then pulled out a picture of the results. If Toga wasn't right next to Dabai, I would have thought she padded her bra, dyed her hair, and did cosplay burns and stapled to make herself look like Dabai. In the background of the picture, Tamura was on the floor laughing in a pile of dust which used to be a chair. Kurogiri was bent over laughing over the bar, and twice, well, he looked like he was trying to take pictures with a brownie. Me, please tell me this won't last forever. Son, don't worry Dad, I undid it after I took this picture. Maybe we use Gyro or Nejire's blood on Minta and have lesser perverts chase him. Then once he is caught, have it wear off, revealing they just chased a boy all day. Me, while you are devious, remind me to never ground you. I'm actually scared of what you'll do. I cooked up breakfast and changed back into what we have nicknamed twin looks. Once Izuku and I ate, we told Inko bye and went to school. When we arrived, we saw the little grape-headed pervert groping a girl from the support class. She was beating him with what looked like a jetpack prototype. My son quickly ran over and encased the pervert in a shell of pigeon's blood. He then apologized to the girl who tapped at the shell. Mei Hatsune, wow, what is this crystal? Can I have a chunk of it? Son, I rather not lose a bit of my blood. I'm Izuku Midoriya, what's her name? Mei, oh sorry, I'm Mei Hatsune and I was hoping to use a chunk as a blade for one of my babies. Me, my son, and Minta, babies. Mei, sorry, that's what I call my creations. Me, I can give you a chunk of a gem called pigeon's blood later to test. It looks very similar to our blood crystals. Now bro, let's get the pervert up to Aizawa. He's not going to like hearing this. Son, good point Hisashi. I may see you later. After Izuku picks up the cot Minta, we walk to class and wait for our teacher, if you can even call him that. Once he walked in, he sighed and pinched the bridge of his nose. Aizawa, please tell me that you're only pranking Minta. Me, unfortunately not. As we walked onto school property, we found him groping a student from the support class called Mei Hatsune. Minta, they are lying. I would never grope her big boobs. Him saying that got him jabbed in both eyes by Gyro's earjacks. Son, Aizawa, we may have a way to teach him and some other students who are lesser perverts a major lesson. Aizawa, let's talk about this in the conference room. Izuku, you can reabsorb your blood. Zero, Momo, please strap Minta to his chair. After the grapist was tied down, Izuku left with Aizawa to explain his idea. Uraraka, Hisashi, what punishment did you two come up with? Me, since we are able to somewhat modify quirks with a lot of focus, Izuku thought up another less strenuous use. Right after saying that, Aizawa walked in with a very menacing smile. The entire class went silent and Minta pissed himself. Aizawa sent Ashido to get the janitor before letting Izuku talk. Izuku, Aizawa is letting me handle Gra. I mean Minta's punishment for groping Mei, so I need a girl to volunteer to help, and Momo, we will need your quirk. Also Denki, go to Site Gamma please. After he left, only Momo volunteered to help more than just her quirk. Izuku bit her arm for a few seconds, then bit Minta. What happened next was kinda shocking, but thank goodness Zero's tape stretched a ton. Minta first quickly grew up to Momo's hay in about 10 seconds and his bulls shrank into his head. After that phase was done, his body began to swell up to match Momo's as his hair grew out but kept its purple color. After a few minutes of grapist wiggling in his chair, we saw a purple-haired version of Momo. With them side by side, I saw that the newly changed pervert was more gifted in a couple places compared to the original. What struck me as odd was he now had a permanent purple pearl necklace and bracelets like the moms in certain films I will not name. If Izuku did that on purpose, I might have to give him the talk sooner than expected. Izuku with a very wide smirk. Momo, I am sure you know what to do now. Momo, actually yes I do. I think my old hero suit design will do, but I'll blindfold him so he can't look at his body while he is changed. She then dragged him to an empty classroom with a very evil smirk. The other girls followed, including Ashito, as she arrived with the janitor. The rest of the class wanted answers, but Izuku shook his head and said be patient. After a bit, the girls returned with a dolled-up Minta. The suit really clung to his body and was purple. Momo, I redesigned it so that it can't be removed, plus only lasers able to cut through titanium can cut it. Also Izuku, I've noticed her great bulls moved to her wrists. Izuku walked over and looked. That I didn't expect. I thought his hair just smoothed out. Are they still sticky? Momo, not at all. But he can form them into swords and throwing stars. He actually tried to cut off our uniforms, but the blades were dull. Once Momo said that everyone through the entire school felt Izuku's bloodlust. He then grabbed Minta by the ear and dragged him to Site Gamma. Aizawa had us all follow but lead us to the observation box where Nezu and Denki were, and they had popcorn ready for us. Nezu, if this kid's plan works, when he graduates he's going to be hired as head of discipline. Minta's POV. Once Izuku got me down to Site Gamma, he let go of my ear and smirked. After I rubbed my sore ear, I realized I wasn't there alone. There were about 20 guys and 2 females looking at me and Izuku. Izuku, welcome to a new special event which will randomly happen throughout the school year. This is Minta and she has volunteered to be the prize. Whoever can catch her before the school day is over gets one date with her. Actually, she's kinda more being punished. We caught her groping a fellow classmate. AFO POV. I was waiting in the classroom for our next teacher to walk in. After a while I turned to my son. Izuku, which teacher do you think it will be? Midnight or All Might? He chuckled. I bet it's All Might, and he warps his usual catchphrase. Let's do $80 this time and add $20 for if the person warps their catchphrase. I'll put you as no warp. I agreed, only for All Might to go. I'm here and coming through the door like a normal person. As everyone goes fanboy. Fangirl, I gave Izuku his money and sighed. All Might, today we are going to do some battle training, but what can heroes be without their costumes? As he finished that statement, she presses a button on a remote, causing numbered briefcases to pop out of the wall. He told us which site to go to before we all grabbed our suits and went to get changed. Izuku and I decided to F with All Might by wearing business suits with special sunglasses that can become a hood similar to the one I wore to keep myself alive when I had to change hideouts. Our suits were both blood red, but our ties' colors matched the other's hair. We were the first 2 changed and we waited for the rest to arrive. Momo came out shortly after us. Her outfit was a blood-red version of an old comic book villain's outfit called Catwoman, but she added some mini generators on her legs just in case she needed to make something really big really fast. Izuku had to look away and steel his nerves as he almost instantly gets a nosebleed. Momo, what do you 2 think of my outfit? It's based off one of my favorite ancient comic book characters. Me, it looks nice Momo, though the 3 of us kinda match now. Momo, well Izuku did boost my quirk, hence the red. I hope you 2 don't mind. Izuku stuttering. I don't mind Momo. His face was so red you'd think he was wearing a skin-tight mask that matched his suit. Momo, good. Maybe once we graduate we can all work at the same hero company. This causes Izuku to go into supersonic mumble mode. Even when I slowed down time, he was talking too fast. Color me impressed. I can't even keep up. I doubt even the Flash could. Once everyone arrived, All Might explained what is going on with Izuku still going. As he randomly teamed everyone up, he put us 3 as a team because our matching outfits. He did slow down a bit when he saw what Izuku and I were wearing, but continues almost as if nothing happened. He then used what looked like pool cue balls to select which teams will fight each other. Us against Bakugo and Ida with us as the villains. How fitting. Momo after kissing Izuku's cheek to snap him out of it. Izuku, if we win, how about you and I go on a date? The second the word date came out, Izuku picked her up, grabbed the faux bomb, and ran into the selected building in roughly 3 seconds. Wow, I think Izuku has a major crush and she likes him back. I soon followed him, forming my mask, causing me to smirk under it as All Might froze in fear. Using Momo's quirk, we set up traps and set up our plan of attack. Bakugo would most likely go after Izuku alone, and it is so by the book he would check every room on every level. That's when our big plan was formed. Momo would guard the weapon as Izuku taunts Bakugo onto the roof. I would go to level 1 and deal with Ida. We all got into position, and once I was on the bottom floor I heard my son taunt. Izuku, yo, nuclear Pomeranian. You better go through the front door and deal with Momo cause if you go against me. He pauses a bit, then talks so menacingly my blood ran cold. I will drain you of all your blood. When the timer started for the heroes, I heard a bunch of explosions heading up to Izuku, meaning he fell for it. When Ida stepped through the door, I pinned him to the wall and kept him there with Pigeon's blood crystals. Me, wow, he's hot-headed. Sorry about your instant capture. But it's the game. Plus, I want Izuku to go on his first date soon. Ida, I understand, and I'm sorry about my partner. I hope Izuku enjoys his date. From what I've heard about Bakugo bullying him, he deserves it. Me, wait, Izuku was bullied? Tell me all you know. Izuku's POV. I smirk and flip off Kaken before backing away from the edge, drawing a Pigeon's blood fencing sword out of my arm. I then activate my mask. According to Dad, it's modeled after his fighting mask made into personal health care in a helmet. The piping is replaced with a blood delivery so we don't go into a blood frenzy. When Kaken flies up onto the roof, I point my sword at him. Kaken, okay, you worthless Deku. You are dead. He aimed his giant grenade gauntlet at me and quickly pulls its pin. I took the blast, and once the dust settled, I gently brushed off my outfit and taunted him again with me flipping him off. He simply growled and tried to blast my mask off, but right before he can activate his explosions, I'd hit his hand away so he would just blast behind or beside me. After about 5 minutes of me just hitting his hands away, he got really mad and pulled both pins on his gauntlets. Right as he pulled the pins, I quickly moved behind him so he just caused a crater where I was standing. I then removed my mask and bit him, drinking just enough to knock him out. Izuku, damn, you taste horrible. I am definitely never going to drink your blood again. You taste worse than when your dad burnt the steaks. I pick up Kaken, run down picking up Momo, and stopping at the door where Dad and Ida was. Dad released Ida and we marched him off to the observation booth. Momo, since tomorrow is the weekend, how about we have our date tomorrow at noon? Me, sounds perfect, and sorry about you not getting to fight any. Momo, it's fine, but if you ever go to the villain's side I would join so I am not on your bad side. When we got to the booth I got yelled at by All Might for drinking Bakugo's blood, flipping him off, and intentionally making him destroy the building. I had to hold my dad back so he doesn't end Jerk Might. I then said I didn't bite for 10 seconds and walked away. Everyone was confused by what I meant, especially Momo. I sat in the back of the room and starting drawing out of boredom, not wanting to watch any more battles. Soon Jerk Might will be destroyed and by my hands. Hypocritical bastard. This is a filler chapter as my ideas for this story have slowed down a lot. I apologize, but I will update it as I get chapter ideas. Izuku POV. I sighed as I sat on the bus to some odd training place. After a few minutes I tried to sleep, only for Frog Girl poking me. Sue, Izuku, and Hasashi. I remember you both saying you were catching up. What did you mean by that? Me, we were separated at birth. Mom never told me, thinking Hasashi was dead. Dad, I was raised never knowing about Izuku, and when we both bumped into each other shopping we just knew. He unlocked his quirk a month before, so when we met mine instantly manifested. You're a Raka, that must suck. How do you two know Momo? Momo, their dad is a stockholder of my family's company and asked for a small favor for them to train with me. Denki, must be nice training with a hot babe. Me blushing, yeah, except when she goes overboard. She shot me with a cannon. Momo, I'm glad you brought back up clothes. I thought Yao dodged it. Mina, did you see his special zone? That caused Minta, Sue, and your Raka to hit her upside the head. Well, Minta just tossed one of his bulls into her mouth to act like a gag. Me, nice aim, Minta. I'm glad you learned your lesson. Minta, actually I got a girlfriend a bit after the nightmare punishment. She kinda keeps me on my toes. Me, is it Midnight Fangirl from the punishment? Minta, actually her sister. She is curvier than her sister and has a much more refined taste. Dad, I'm glad you found a girl, but what do you do? Minta blushing, I'd rather not tell. Unfortunately it's somewhat like the punishment. Me, I can make you talk using hypnosis. I want though, I hope you tell me later. It sounds like an awesome story. Minta, she actually wants to meet you. Hopefully it's not too soon since I don't know how much longer I can last with her. The bus laughs some since the first week or two with the grape-headed midget tired out everyone. I motion him over. Me, I can make you more developed. From 3 feet nothing midget to 5 feet 6 and teen. It may be a tad painful, but I can help you out. Minta, how about after we do the training so I can sleep during it? I nodded and dodge a frog tongue which catches a fly behind me. Sue, sorry, frog instincts sometimes take over. Dad, you'd probably win playing Frogger. Sue, what's Frogger? Dad, very old video game similar to an app called Quirky Road which I've seen you play. I can't really explain it and I will try to find an emulator for it. For the rest of the bus ride we just joked and teased Minta a bit. All in all we were becoming friends, but if they ever found our plan who knows what would happen. Izuku POV. We had finally arrived at the USJ, and I remembered the date from a previous meeting with the League of Villains. I looked at my dad and he nodded. The entire class enters the building only for Uraraka to go crazy because 13 is there. 13 is also known as the space hero because of their outfit and their quirk, Black Hole. I pull a small notebook out of one of my pockets along with a pen for their autograph. After I got it, I put it away and apologized for my fanboy ways to go crazy. Though it looked normal, the notebook I got 13 seconds autograph in was not normal. Aizawa, 13. And a few other worthy heroes' autographs made them unable to attack or be attacked by the League and anyone hired by it. After the whole Quirks can end speech, Kirigiri's portal appeared, letting hundreds of thugs, Kirigiri, Shigaraki, and one of our Namo. It was a new kind that could think on its own, unlike previous ones, but was still forced to obey higher-ranking members of the League. Of course, Aizawa jumped down to fight them, but only one charged at him. I had to hold in a chuckle as the guy bounced off an invisible wall and into the thugs behind him. I see Master has deemed you a true hero. No one from us, the League of Villains, can hurt you. Kirigiri, it's your turn. Kirigiri nodded and teleported my classmates except for Momo and Dad to places where their quirks are useless. To make it seem like he tried to get us, I grabbed Momo and Dad, moving us to the side as a portal appeared where we were. I quickly dug through a pouch on my suit and pulled out a vial of blood. Momo, they got everyone else, and I bet they think they got us. May I inject you like I did Minta? This is a speed quirk from a family friend so you can run for help. She nodded and held out her arm for me to bite her. I drank the vial and bit her, giving her the speed quirk. Izuku and I will distract them. When we do that, you go, Dad said as he peeked out from where we were hiding. Momo kissed my cheek. Be careful, okay? I blushed but nodded before Dad and I jumped out and attacked the nearest group of thugs. We heard a whooshing noise signaling that she was gone, and then Shigaraki went off script. The vampire twins, we have been looking for you. Since your quirks manifested, people have put you down. Join us and help us rid the world of false heroes. Dad yelled, we won't join you, hand fetish. Seriously, why would we join someone covered in hands? I couldn't help but laugh as Kirigiri covered his mouth while Shigaraki got pissed. I don't have a hand fetish. Namu, get them. Namu charged at us much quicker than we expected. We kicked and punched him, making sure not to tire ourselves out or hurt him too badly. We may have given him a lot of powerful quirks, but we made sure we could still beat him. After a while, Jerk Might arrived along with Momo. Dad quickly kicked Namu away, and we used that time to get us and Momo to a safe spot. I told Momo and Dad to stay put as I rushed to the restroom. I blamed the reason on a side effect of quirk transfusion, but honestly I wanted to end Jerk Might myself. Once I got to the restroom, I changed my outfit to my quirk hunting outfit and teleported into the room next to Shigaraki. Sorry I'm late, bud. Master told me to wait till he showed up. Shigaraki nodded. Namu, don't let All Might leave unless it's in a body bag. Have fun, Fire Opal. I nodded and formed fire opals all over my body, revealing myself as Endeavor's Ender. This made 13, Aizawa, and All Might take a couple of steps back. Erase her head. 13, don't worry. Master and I want you to live. False heroes must die though. I launched myself at All Might and started to cut him up, with him dodging and punching as fast as he could. Soon steam started to leak out of his body before suddenly he was his real skeleton body again. I laughed. Villains are afraid of a skeleton? Oh my lord, this is hilarious. I'm going to enjoy this recording of your true form popping up on the news tomorrow. I point to the USJ cameras, and as he looked at them with fear, I cut off his arms. With him screaming in pain, I walked over to the others. He isn't worth ending. Let's go. I warped back to the bathroom and changed back before rushing back to Dad and Momo. After the other pros appeared and they found us, I acted horrified when I saw armless Skill Might. I then looked at Snipe, who had found us. Who is the armless man? He is, or was, since he must retire now. All Might, Snipe replied with a bit of glee in his voice. I hid my disgust and pulled out a second mini notebook and asked for his autograph. He gave it to me, then walked away as I put the notebook away. Momo, lead me a bit away. That's a different notebook than before. Why do you have two almost identical books? I wasn't surprised she figured it out. Her quirk required her to notice the details. I make sure no one else can hear me. I have one for fake heroes and true heroes. Fakes become major targets for the League, while true heroes are immune to us. Hence why 13 and Aizawa couldn't touch or be touched. I will explain more later. Your place tonight. Please let me explain before you tell the police. Momo kissed me on the lips. Izuku, even if you were the one to end All Might, I wouldn't turn you in. I chuckle and return the kiss. I did end Endeavor after I found out he abused his kids. That's why Shoto is so nice to me. That, and he knows I did it. All for one POV. After everyone was questioned and the injured, which at most was broken bones, were taken to the hospital, they let us go home. My son and Momo walked to her mansion together so he could tell her in private the truth about him, me, and the League. I walked home and told Inko what happened. She was happy our plan worked and kissed me. Do you know how long Izuku will be at Momo's? Inko asked as she gently pulled me down the hall. A few hours easily, I reply as I pick her up. Plenty of time for some alone time, hun. I quickly returned to my real form before All Might ruined my face and walked to our room. Hopefully Izuku takes a bit for alone time with Momo, but not likely. He is way too innocent. Izuku POV. I was sitting with Momo on her bed. My brother, as you know him, is actually my father and All Might's biggest enemy, All For One. The two of us are actually trying to make the world better. I was quirkless until a villain attacked me and my quirk manifested. A bit after I ended endeavor as I stopped a bank robbery during a quirk hunt. Also, I lied about that blood earlier. I just gave you a quirk I created using a fusion of my quirk and yours. Momo just listened as I told her everything I have done. She was surprised at some bits of it but accepted it all. She even forgave me for taking a copy of her quirk. When morning came and I had told her everything, I gave her a copy of all my quirks and headed out to head home. She stopped me when I got to the door. She asked why I was leaving since school was cancelled today and laughed as I showed her an image of my mom with a cast iron skillet on her lap. Okay, go home and tell your mom you have a girlfriend who's now part vampire. But first give me a kiss, Count Izuku of the Fire Opals. We were about to kiss when a portal popped out of nowhere and warped me into the middle of a park. I slowly stood up, dusted myself off as I looked around. Ada and Uraraka was there and they looked confused and worried. Uraraka walked over. You okay, Izuku? Do you need the porcelain cream faux fix your skin? She checked my arm and backed away into a fighting stance. Ada got between me and her. Uraraka, what's gotten into you? Izuku is our friend. That's not Izuku. His skin is real and warm. He isn't our gem-based friend. I thought for a bit, then rubbed my chin as I started to mutter. Okay, a few seconds ago I was with Momo when a portal popped out of nowhere and dragged me here. If there was a gem-based me here, that means he is with Momo. There is a chance that this is just a fever dream and I will just wake up next to Momo. Then again, the gem and porcelain me from here could be there freaking out. That means a machine or a quirk switched our realities. Ada and Uraraka just waited for me to finish before Uraraka got impatient and suddenly my gravity increased, making me sink into the ground some. Wait, when could you increase something's gravity? Last time I saw you, all you could do was remove its gravity, I yelled as I tried to keep standing. After a bit I used erasure to temporarily stop her quirk before I sit down on the ground panting. Uraraka, did gem me boost your powers or did you always have this ability? She just glared at me as she kept trying to use her quirk. I then looked at Ada. Is Endeavor still alive and does All Might have his arms? Ada now prepared to fight. Both are fine, but what do you mean by still alive and All Might not having his arms? I flopped onto my back and sighed. Perfect, I am in another reality. And the series of events of my life are different. Endeavor wasn't ended by a villain called Fire Opal and USJ wasn't attacked. Uraraka was now curious. Why would the Universal Studios Japan be attacked? I laughed and shook my head. Not that one. UA has a building called Unseen Situation Joint. It's where we train to deal with natural disasters. You have gone there, right? They both shook their head as they called someone. After a few minutes I was picked up by Ida before he ran me to UA and into the principal's office where I see some odd animal sitting in his chair. Hi, Principal Nezu. Or is it just an animal? If it's just an animal, I now look like a fool. It laughed. I am Principal Nezu and you were right, Ada. He does look like our friend Izuku, but his scent, posture, and mannerisms are different. Plus he has fangs. They are why his words have a slight hiss to them. Now let's see how his reality is different from ours. Nezu motioned for me to sit down in a chair and used the phone to ask someone to get us tea. So our USJ was attacked by villains in your reality. What exactly happened? We were just going there for training when the League of Villains attacked. They offered my brother and I a place with them since our shared quirk is seen as villainous. They then sent a creature they called Namu after us until All Might arrived. That's when a hero ender called Fire Opal arrived and removed All Might's arms after revealing All Might's deflated true self to the world. They then just left with nothing more done to us students than a broken bone or two. For some reason Aizawa and 13 were untouchable. Nezu took that info in and some random person gave us tea. Nezu then had Ida go home before asking, I am guessing that in your world you are Fire Opal. I stayed quiet as he took that as a yes. So in your world you fell to the path of evil. Why was that? I sighed. Now I know if I ever meet my Nezu again I better be more careful. I was bullied until my quirk manifested as a sludge villain tried to end me. All Might saved me but called the cops as I had my first ever hunger for blood. I was interrogated and left in a solitary cell for a few hours until they were satisfied with my answers. My mom then took me to a quirk doctor where I learned I copied his and the villain's quirks. Nezu nodded. Makes sense, but I assume All Might didn't like that you copied it. Correct, he treated me like a villain, so I started hunting for quirks. I wouldn't end anyone, only knock out. My first end was a bank robber who nearly ended a few people before I stopped him. Endeavor instantly hated me and tried to end me, so I had to end him. Nezu started to laugh. So Endeavor is a pain no matter which reality he's in. Here Endeavor has just lost his hero's license and is in Tartarus for multiple life sentences. I chuckled. Honestly, I kinda wish that it happened in my world too. My current goal is to get rid of fake heroes and make the world truly equal if you have a quirk or not, and what it's like shouldn't chose your fate. Our Izuku has the same dream. I won't tell anyone about this, but I'm guessing you're also All For One's son too. Here our Izuku has been kidnapped and nearly ended because he is a living emerald. When people found out who his dad was, he was and still is attacked, treated with prejudice, and has to work very hard to be seen as a hero. I see you both have pure hearts, so when ours returns I will tell him that you were a hero in training as well. I laughed. That's actually the truth. I do want to be a hero, but I will destroy fake heroes and true villains as I release those falsely imprisoned. Is my dad still alive here? Nezu shook his head. He died, giving our Izuku every quirk he had. I'm guessing yours is still alive. I nodded and was then sent off to class since there was class for them still. Uraraka and Momo asked me about their doubles in my reality. I told them that Uraraka is the same except for I can't boost quirks that well, and that Momo and I are dating. This made Momo blush and Uraraka mad for some reason. I noticed glares aimed at me and Momo and sighed. Just because it's that way where I am from doesn't mean that it will happen here. I have a vampire quirk and yours is a walking fortune. That ended the glares and a few others asked me. Shoto then walked over. Is my father imprisoned in your world? No, your father died fighting a villain called Fire Opal in my world. Bastard got off easy in your world. I'm sure the Shoto in my reality would agree. He smiled and sat back down as I told everyone about my world. I of course left out my villain side. When I told them about what I did to cure Minta's perverted desires, they all glared at him. He literally wet himself and ran out the door screaming. For the next few days I went through classes and took notes down for Gem Izuku. It was nice except midnight and some other female heroes flirted with me and asked where my muscles went. When I told them I switched realities with their Izuku, they apologized. I was also able to duplicate everyone's quirks, and even though I was having fun here, I missed my world. It was during lunch when a portal suddenly appeared and I was in a void world with Gem Izuku. I know what you are, Fire Opal. Don't worry, I didn't turn you in. I was just happy to have Dad in my life for a while, even though I had to pretend he was my brother. Also good luck with Momo, and sorry but I kinda kissed her. I just laughed. It's okay, Spite. I like that hero name. I will use it in my world too if that's okay. He nodded and handed me the notes he made for my classes in my reality. I give him the ones for his class. May I have copies of what quirks you have? I am curious what it is like to have a vampiric quirk. Let's both copy quirks, but I don't know if I can bite you. He put his arm out and let me somehow bite him and copy his quirks as I felt him copy mine through my teeth. After I let go, I was dumped into my world's lunchroom. Momo quickly checked if it was me by checking for fangs. Calm down, Momo, you are a vampire too. You know how tempting it is to bite fingers that are put in your mouth. She hugged me and I told my class about the other world, and that in it All Might was still a hero, Endeavor was in jail, and that in that world there is no Fire Opal or All For One. Some wanted to go see that reality, and I told them that once I find out who swapped us I would see if they'll do it for them. I lied as I knew it was Gem Izuku and I had no way to contact him. Maybe we will meet again and we will see how much our worlds have changed. Izuku POV. The day after I returned from Gem Izuku swapping us, we were given a week off of basic courses to train and make our quirks stronger. The reason was because of the sports festival is still going to happen, even though All Might was harmless and I ended Snipe with a sniper shot to the head. It was in public too. He was harassing Toga, who was doing nothing but carrying her groceries to the base. She screamed because of the bang and the bullet hitting her arm. I apologized afterwards and healed her to shut her up. She was furious. She tried to rip my head off, literally. Momo, Dad, Shoto, and I trained at Momo's mansion. It was funny when she got into her first bloodlust. She ran right at Shoto and broke everything we put in her way. It was like the very old cartoons where someone is so mad they can run through a safe. Luckily, Dad recorded it and showed it to her after she drank some of Shoto's blood. She was greatly embarrassed, but it made us all laugh more, until she hit us with a frying pan. I taught her how to use my quirks with her creating a new one which I bet Toga would love. By using the blood of people that are bleeding, she can create what she nicknamed bleeder items, which are items of solid blood. I quickly copied the quirk by kissing her, causing her to giggle. I would have handed it over silly, but the kiss was worth it. Will every good quirk I make reward me with a kiss? I laughed. I guess you'll have to find out. The League has a blood lover who might try to date you now you made a quirk she will adore. She smirked. You're the only blood lover for me. When the day of the festival started, the four of us were all excited. We all were ready for some fun. We decided that Shoto would get second, with the three of us vampires getting first. The first challenge was an obstacle course. We all turned into bats and flew over the entire course, but we followed the path and dive-bombed different people to keep Shoto in the lead with signaled dives at him which he avoided or blocked. We got our planned places and worked together during the cavalry battle. Everyone tried to steal our point band. I had Momo wear it and told them all my idea. If anyone ever got close, we would cut them and create a dome from their blood, but we had to make sure not to drain them too much. Shoto instantly assumed Kaken would try to beat me because he is still mad that I hid my quirk from him. Knowing him, he chose Zero to create a bungee cord, Denki to shock us, and Kirishima because I am sure he has a crush on him. Also, he makes a good battering ram. When the round was started, all of the groups came at us. My dad and I cut a few people and had Momo build the dome. We then just walked around with Shoto creating and melting ice, causing people to act like pucks at a hockey game or get stuck in the mud. Of course, our thoughts about Kaken were proven true. He had what we called the idiot squad. I had Momo create some holes in the dome just big enough for my voice to get through clearly. Hey Kaken, why don't you just ask out Kirishima out already? I know you have a crush on him. Kaken, and Kirishima was stunned for roughly 10 seconds. That's when he snapped and used his explosive quirk to come at us like a heat-seeking missile. When he got close enough, we jumped with the dome hitting him in the face while we were in the air, and the stunned Kaken was reeled in like a fish. I had Shoto cut me just enough to turn the dome into a ball before it healed up. Once we landed, we became a literal bowling ball. The crowd was laughing as the other teams ran away as if we were the plague. What surprised me is that I heard Aizawa laughing his ass off. Who knew the stoic teacher had a sense of humor? After our little bowling game, knocking down a few teams, getting them disqualified, Kaken tried again. He grabbed and blasted at our ball until he was reeled back by his team. By the time the round was over, we had disqualified about 3/4 of all the teams, so it was much easier to find out who won in continues and who all lost. We were all lucky and put in different brackets, so we didn't have to fight each other till the semifinals if we all won. Once the matches were decided, we were all excused for lunch and to relax for a couple of hours. While we ate lunch, we heard people calling Dad and I freaks and that Momo was just a wannabe freak. I waited for the two main smack talkers to get close to us. Luckily, it was Death Arms and Kamui Woods. Pro heroes just in it for fame and money, never willing to risk their lives for anything. When I started to sniff the air, so did Dad and Momo. Why do I smell testosterone, wood, and stupidity? I had to hold in a laugh as I replied, no clue, Momo. I do want to find out what that tastes like though. My dad delivered the blow that pissed off the two heroes. Hopefully we don't gain the cowardice of the owners of those scents. It would be worthless for us to be weak when we pass all pro heroes. Suddenly the three of us were contained in a giant wooden cage. I sighed and grew my nails out, cutting us all free in about 5 seconds. Once the opening was big enough, we quickly moved behind the two. I yawned. Seriously, it's not legal for heroes to attack people for no reason. What made you attack us anyways? As Death Arms replied, Shoto ran to get our teachers. You insulted us. How dare you call us cowards and stupid? The three of us looked at each other confused. Momo spoke first. I just said I smelled it, not that you guys were stupid. Thanks to Izuku making me a vampire like him, I can smell emotions and personalities. As that left her mouth, Death Arms tried to punch her, only for me to grab his hand and hold it in place. You can see and smell him straining to punch, as I barely had a problem. Who do you think you are, attacking my brother and his girlfriend? Don't you think we have been through enough fighting that odd creature from the USJ? Kamui snapped. We just heard you planning an attack, so we stopped you. At least that's what we will report. He attempted to put us in another cage, but we moved behind him again. Kamui, Death Arms, stop this. You'll be viewed as weaklings and false heroes if you keep this up. This made both try again, but my dad caught their attacks while Momo and I drained them just enough to make them pass out. Momo gagged. Kamui tasted like an expired salad. Mine tasted like rotten meat. Damn, that was gross. Next time we sample before we knock out by feeding. Police and teachers showed up detaining us and the heroes. That's when a TV station reporter was actually on our side. She was about to record a report for the 10 o'clock news when instead she recorded our conversation in the fight. We were let go without punishment since our backs were to them before they attacked us. They were put in jail and indefinitely suspended from hero duty pending trial. Our classmates were worried, but Kaken was hoping we were arrested to prove how evil and worthless our quirks are. This made my blood boil, which shocked Momo and my dad. Okay, you nuclear beach. How about you shut up and listen for once in your rage-filled life? My brother and I are not evil, and Momo was far from worthless before I made her like me. I hope to see you at the finals, where I will put you 60 feet under with a single punch. I threw Kaken into his locker, causing it and the few connected to it to bend and compress like it was aluminum foil. I then marched out to the stands, where I stayed until the match started. Shoto took him to the nurse as I cursed him under my breath. When the matches started up, I won each of mine using one blow each time, not moving an inch. Dad and Momo at least gave their opponents a chance to at least try to hurt them. When Shoto and my dad were supposed to fight Kaken, they backed away, saying he needed all the help possible against me. When Momo and I were to fight, she kissed me, then left the ring. People were confused when she vanished and Kaken appeared. Time for my fun and to ruin Kaken's stupid ego. Should have let him die when my team attacked USJ, but then again, this is much more fun. I smirked evilly. Momo, get him his stupid-looking gauntlets, please. She quickly grabbed them, tossed them to Kaken, then kissed me. Kick his ass, hun. My sweet vampire bride, you know I will. She ran up to the stands as Present Mike was yelling at Kaken to put the gauntlets away. Let him use them. I will allow it and let him use any other gear he wants. He's not a challenge otherwise. This was enough to shut him up and make Kaken even angrier. Extend the fight time allowance, please. I want both of his gauntlets full of his sweat so he has more of a chance. I yell at present mic while I sit down waiting for the gauntlets to be charged. Once they were, Kaken charged me and fired one at my face point blank. All I remember is his hand in my face and then slowly standing up. What I was told later was that he blew my head to smithereens and all that was left was my neck. Then over the course of about 15 seconds my head regenerated back and I stood up. Wow, Kaken, I honestly thought you'd go for my stomach, not my head. I guess you're more of a villain than you know. I pop my shoulders and neck as I slowly walk over. How are you still alive, you freak? I turned your head into a effing smear on the ground. I laughed like a crazy person as I kept walking. I am not just a simple vampire, you stupid half-witted porcupine. I am the ultimate vampire. Nothing can end me, not even the queen of vampires. I punched the ground in front of him, causing a 60-foot crater to appear around and under Kaken. Once he was in it, present Mike said I won. When the award ceremony was done by midnight, the R-rated hero Momo got third, Kaken second, and me in first. As she handed me my medal, she whispered, "How about you dump her and go on a date with me?" Momo of course heard and very angrily hissed at her. This made me laugh slightly. Sorry, Midnight, but my queen has spoken. It's best not to make a vampire's bride mad. According to legend, if they get jealous they will drain the youth, beauty, and intelligence from the one who caused it. Midnight nodded. Sorry, Momo, didn't mean to offend you. It's just that eternal youth is very tempting. Momo shrugged and grabbed me by the arm, leading us to her favorite restaurant to celebrate. We grabbed Dad and Shoto along the way as I called Mom to have her meet us there. Izuku, don't vampires usually have at least 3 brides? Momo asked randomly through the meal. This made me choke on my rare steak, my dad to sputter, Shoto to laugh, and my mom to gush. If my Izuku gets many brides, I can have lots of grandkids. And don't influence our son. If he wants multiple, so be it, but to make it legal is impossible, Dad stated as he collected his wits. Shoto then asked, if that's true, can you make me a vampire too? I have my eyes on a few girls. Shoto, that's not happening. I don't know what will happen to you if I change you. You might end up my second bride. This made him shrug. I'm bi, so I don't mind to be a test subject. This made the entire table go quiet in shock. Shoto looked confused. I thought you knew. Seriously, I've been flirting with you since you helped me out. Shoto, you need to work on your flirting, and your infatuation is just because I freed you from you, Dad. That reminds me, I found your other brother. He was the scared-up boy with blue fire from the incident. Shoto hugged me. Please tell me you can talk him into talking with me, Agame. Dad laughed. Dabai, as he goes by now, was curious if you'd meet him even though he is a villain. I'm sure you two can meet soon. Momo smirked. Izuku, if you do get more brides, can I get multiple husbands? I began to growl. You will be mine and mine alone. She laughed, saying she was joking and she's okay with me getting a harem as long as she is top wife. This made everyone else laugh as I blushed a red darker than blood. Once they stopped, Shoto moved to the seat next to me. Go ahead, okay, curious if I end up a bride or not. I shook my head. Not here, Shoto. If I do it here, we will cause a big scene. Momo was moaning and squirming as I made her my bride. This made Momo blush darkly as the rest of the table teased her until my mom asked, so you're no longer a virgin? This made Momo and I spit out our drinks. We didn't do stuff like that. I just bit her neck and injected her with quirks and some venom I felt my fangs make. Not my fault she's anti-biting. We all chatted and joked till we all went to our respective homes. I sat on my bed and thought about what Momo and Shoto said. Me with multiple brides. Who would I choose? What all does my venom do? Could I trust them with my secret? Eventually Momo showed up in my window and crawled in. Hun, are you okay? I felt how on edge you were and flew over as fast as I could. I hugged her. I'm sorry, Momo. I didn't mean to keep you up. Now we know my brides feel my emotions. We talked through the night. Eventually we figured out an amount of what all the venom did. Brides can't lie to me, and if I give an order they must obey. Also, we assumed they must be willing to become a bride to be one. I decided to attack a random couple, turning both of them into my brides. This proved that I can create brides of either gender, willing or not. With a simple test I could undo it, and I used a memory erasing quirk to make them forget. I let Momo try to make a bride, but she just created a regular vampire. When they started to burn in the sunlight, she undid it and healed them as I made them forget. My original quirk is still a mystery on its limits and all it does. I have many fans and enemies already. Now who should I make into my vampire army? Izuku POV. I walked into class with Momo as we finished our little chat about my bridal bite, as we called it. We got into our seats and waited for Aizawa to walk in or roll in. After about half an hour of waiting, I had Momo make him a gift. Aizawa walked in after it was done and looked at the present box. The paper was as usual black with yellow ribbons. When he pulled out a sleeping bag with sleeves and legs, even I had trouble keeping up with him as he put it on. Izuku, Momo, thank you both, but you could have waited a few minutes to give it to me. Once everyone was in the classroom, he explained that the festival was also used to get people into classes that better suit them and to get hero agencies to notice students that could fit their ideals. Then once the festival is done, teachers tally up who all got invited to intern at different agencies and put them in the proper bags or boxes. He then invited Midnight into the room. Hello students, today we all need to choose your hero names. Just remember this name might stick with you. An example is Eraserhead. She then handed everyone marker boards with dry erase markers. I quickly walked up with mine. I'm going to use Gem Izuku's name. Spite, the fanged hero. I actually meet him before we swapped back and asked permission. Midnight was confused. What do you mean by Gem Izuku? Oh, I guess he was only in the morning classes for a day. He activated a dimensional swapping quirk. He and I switched places the morning after the USJ event. He was a living emerald with a crap ton of quirks. We were actually in a void world for a while, as he told me of a few. His father was a villain called All For One, and he became a hero anyways. The name made Midnight and Aizawa flinch. Is there a villain by that name? They said not anymore and had everyone else continue choosing their names. Momo chose Vampire's Bride and my dad chose Fangs For All. All of us spent the rest of the day going through our invites and choosing which agencies we would go to. Once we were out of school for the day, we decided to spread out where we would go and make sure we stayed away from Hasu. We had a plan for the town and we don't want to get caught up in it as our hero selves. Izuku POV. I walk home from school as a greenish-blue portal suddenly appeared in front of me. Out came another me with a holographic visor and keyboard. We looked at each other and he sighed. Can I only go to realities where I exist? I just met Gem Me and now I'm looking at. What's your quirk? I laughed, showing my fangs. So you and Gem both were curious about a new quirk. Was yours called Sliders too? He was stunned. Wait, he had multiple quirks? Damn, I only have one. Call me Cyber Izuku, that's what Gem Izuku called me. That's when Momo landed next to me and sighed. Another you. Hun, are you going to dimension hop as well? I kissed her. Of course not, my vampire queen. I would like to see Gem Izuku again, but not for a while. This is Cyber Izuku. He only has one quirk. She looked him over and shrugged before heading home. I lead Cyber to my home. Mom was using her greatly boosted telekinesis quirk to make supper as she cleaned some blood from the carpet. Hey Izuku-hun. Another on. Is he also a son of a FO? Cyber shrugged. No clue. My dad left when I was deemed quirkless. I just got my quirk roughly a week ago. This impressed both me and my mom. Wow, I'm sorry you couldn't get into UA this year. I'm not sure what to call you, Mom said as she finished cleaning and hugged Cyber. Cyber chuckled. Actually, summer break just started in my world. I'm Cyber Izuku. My quirk is the code. I pointed at his visor and keyboard. So these are your quirk and not technology. He nodded happily as he pulled out a notebook. After placing it on a table, he typed on his keyboard, making it duplicate. I received the copy as he took the original. Here's some tech designs to help you out. Just to warn you now, the charged solar sail cells are explosive once fully charged. I thanked him and thought for a second. Cyber, do you want to meet my dad? He may not be yours in your world, but I think a few hours with him will fill the void. He nodded. I hope it's okay with him. I don't want to intrude. Dad then made himself known, walking out of the bathroom. He was in twin form, so Cyber was confused. Wait, you have a twin here? That is awesome. We all laughed as Dad returned to his adult form. No, I'm actually Vamp Izuku's dad. We are somewhat extremist vigilantes and I'm an ex-villain, so the disguise is needed. Wait, Vamp Izuku. Does that mean your quirk is vampiric in nature? I nodded and he figured out that I made Momo a vampire bride. Cyber and Dad played for a little bit before Cyber held out his arm. I don't know if my blood will help your hunger, but if it does, it's the least I can do. I bid him and copied his quirk before I hugged him. He said goodbye and headed home soon after with a big smile. Next time another you shows up, text me, Mom said as she floated the cast iron pan near my head. I instantly promised to before I teleported to my room. I checked his blueprints and smiled at them. That version of me had stuff ranging from a solar-powered flying surfboard to a suit of armor that fits into a necklace. Using his quirk is interesting, but I'll save it for emergencies. Just having it boosted my intelligence like crazy, so I began to plan our next little event. I knew we would have a summer training camp, so I decided we would use it to get rid of some false heroes in my school and cause chaos. Dad, I planned our next target. We will hit the summer camp. Do you have that mind-altering drug still? I asked as I headed into the kitchen where Momo, Mom, and Dad was sitting at the table to eat supper. Hun, don't answer. No work talk over supper. Now Izuku, hurry up. I made us katsudon with blood broth. Awesome, thanks Mom. How are you adjusting to the quirks? She smiled, showing her fangs. It's almost like I always had them. Oh yeah, I looked into our family quirk history. I hop into my seat and get ready to eat. Find anything interesting? She nodded. A few actually. We have a vampire quirk, an intellectual quirk, and a strength quirk in our history. I'm guessing you somehow got them all in one. Dad was stunned. That is very impressive. I'm from the original quirk generation, so no history in mine. That means you're over 1,000 years old, Momo stated as she finished her katsuden. He nodded and smirked. Yep, and thanks to Izuku, even if I serve 2,000 life sentences, I can outlive them. By the way, Izuku, going to get more brides. I choked on my food, making everyone laugh. I think I will get May from the support class in midnight. Both will be very useful. May can build what Cyber Izuku gave us, and having a pro hero in the ranks is always good. Plus she wants eternal youth. Dad nodded as we all finished eating. Chose carefully, son. They might betray you. I smirked. They can't. Momo and I tested it out. When I make them my brides, they will obey me no matter what. Plus I can have Momo bite them instead and not give them a sunlight immunity as a threat if they try. Warning, very very long chapter. Also, I apologize to any Mount Lady fans. She is now a double agent and her villain name isn't nice. Izuku POV. I smirk as I head into a nearby hero agency. My plan was to work under a retired hero called Fang. His quirk it to create blood-drinking plants that he used to knock out villains. While I was under his teachings, I had Momo under Night Eye with a quirk to block his future sight, and my dad in another one where he is under Mount Lady. He personally wanted her just to piss off Minta and a few other perverts. The first say and night of being Fangdrill's intern was so boring. All I did was be a bloody gopher. Yes, I intended the pun. Once the little fetch quests were done, I had to deliver messages and sometimes gadgets to heroes and sidekicks of the agency. Momo was pretty much doing the same. Dad didn't report in for a while, but I heard that Mount Lady was taking a few days off. The day of the Hasu raid couldn't come any sooner since it meant the summer camp would happen not long after. When the day came, I left a clone to deal with the stupid gopher work and warped to our meeting spot. Momo was already there and filling her nails, which she painted emerald green. Hey, my fanged king. What took you so long? I sighed. I couldn't find Midnight. I wanted to get her before this raid. Momo kissed me, biting my bottom lip. Don't fret, you'll get her tomorrow. Now where is our father? That's when he walked out of the portal with a vampire-brided Mount Lady. Damn, Dad, you work fast. Is Mom okay with it? Mount Lady gasped. Wait, what? Dad smirked. I'm all for one and you are now my vampire bride. From now on you will obey me, my son, my real wife, and my future daughter-in-law. She simply nodded as he revealed his real body. Now can begin. Dad, give Mount Slut gem calling and bunny aspects. I think a gem quirk bunny would be fun to have. He bit her as I kinda ordered him to. Pigeon's blood gems formed over her body in the form of a Playboy bunny outfit. She formed bunny ears and tail, which were bedazzled while she got a mask. Dad smirked. Was this what you meant, son? I shrugged. She's not my type, but Minta would end for a picture of this. I took some pictures and saved them for later. Momo slapped me. Izuku, what are you doing? I'm making myself some money. Who wouldn't love some SXY pictures of a villainous? I'll use Photoshop to get rid of Dad from them or edit in his disguise. We laughed as Mount Lady realized what we are. She tried to run away, so I just told her to return and kneel. Thanks to Dad telling her to obey me, she did. Vampire brides can't disobey their husbands. Now let's destroy Hasu. Stain must join us or be ended by a Namu. I grew my fire opal shell and smirked. Let's get going, hun. Dad want to include Mom. I think she would have fun ending the American hero who abused his wife. My mom laughed from behind me. I already planned on it, sweetie. Should I destroy his bowls or his hands first? I turned and saw my mom in an emerald ninja outfit with red trim and fire opal weapons. Momo smirked. Both. Glue his hands to his bowls, then destroy them. Mount Lady began to shake as my mom looked her over. Sweetie, I agree. She is hot. Izuku, think pictures of me and Gem Beach would make us money. I groaned. Leave those up to Dad. Just remove all birthmarks, tattoos, etc. The 5 of us teleported to Hasu and I found our targets. I used my quirks to create 20 Namu that could rival All Might in his prime. Some could fly, others had built-in weapons, and a few with my classmates' quirks just to rub some salt into people's egos and make people worry about their kids in UA. Dad chuckled. Son, you are awesome at being evil. Dad, I am only evil to purify this corrupt world. Momo, make the quirkless finding drones. Tag our soon-to-be overpowered recruits. Momo kissed me, of course, fire opal. She formed emeralds over her body as she created and sent out the drones. I watched the drones fly out and mark people with slightly radioactive pellets that feel like bug bites to those hit. We all split up as my dad formed his face into before I fixed him and had Mount Lady Akka, the villain Gem Beach, follow him. I hopped into an alley and looked at Stain. Hello, Stain. It's nice to finally meet you. Stain sighed. Fire opal, I wondered when you would try to end me. I laughed. Why would I end a man who sees false heroes as what they are? I know you liked All Might, but he told a quirkless boy his dreams were crap and imprisoned him right after his quirk suddenly manifested from nearly being ended. Like I would believe a villain. All Might is a true hero. I showed him the day my quirk manifested using Cyber Izuku's quirk. It shook Stain as he saw the truth about All Might. How he really looks, how he imprisoned me when my quirk manifested, and how he glared at me. That can't be real, All Might. I saw and create gem chairs for us to sit in. Unfortunately, I can't doctor my own memories. I was that boy who was put in jail because he hated me. He apologized later once he realized once I had copied his quirk. Stain shook his head. You ended a few fake heroes and showed me something that heroes would hide. I would like to join you. I shook his hand and boosted his blood curdle quirk. Thank you for joining the League of Reform. I just boosted your quirk. Now blood type doesn't affect it and it now lasts 10 minutes. I warped us both to our waiting spot for the other 4 to finish their jobs. In co-POV, I watch my assigned Namu bring me my target. His hero name is Star Gatler for his ability to summon guns that fire miniature stars. For an awesome power, he could have been a really good hero, but he beat his wife to death and left America to escape punishment. When the Namu dumped him, I chuckled. Hello, Star Gatler, or should I say Cole Smithers? Yes, I know who you are and that you ended your wife after a few years of abusing her. He groaned. Who are you, you stupid-looking beach? I kicked him in the face. Call me Mother Opal. I will be your death as my son agrees you are a fake hero. He had the audacity to laugh. I kicked him in his balls and used 2 daggers to pin him to a nearby wall after I picked him up. What pathetic beach lets her son order her around? I chuckled as I formed a giant fire opal hammer. I believe you've watched him end Endeavor. He is fire opal. Too bad you won't tell anyone about what I just said. What does that mean, beach? I swung the hammer, crushing his balls and hands completely. The sound of bones breaking actually was very therapeutic. His scream of pain sounded like music to my ears. The next targets were his legs, both of them. Go to hell, beach. I hope you and your son burn. I laughed as I whispered in his ear, we are immortal, you fool. Also tell Satan his sister says hi. With surprise on his face, I crushed his face with my hammer, ending him instantly. Using his blood, I wrote out his crimes along with his name. With that done, I left my calling card, which is an opal skull with emeralds for eyes. I then decided to write Mother Opal in his blood next to the skull, leaving the hammer and daggers there as well. I then warped to Izuku. You must be Stain. I am glad you joined us. My son looks up to you. I'm Mother Opal. Stain looked confused. Your mother is a villain too. Izuku laughed. She joined me after I ended in Devo. She agrees with me, especially after having to bandage me up from being bullied. I nodded. Now to wait for my husband, my future daughter, and our converted heroine. AFOPOV. I smirk as I walk down the street with Gembeach following closely behind. After a bit, I saw Native, Edshot, Gran Torino, and Snipe JR, who is his father's quirk. Hello again, Gran Torino. Do you remember me? The old fool fell onto his ass. It can't be. All Might ended you over 6 years ago. I chuckled. The news of my death was greatly exaggerated. Oh, how I wanted to use that line since All Might destroyed my skull and face. Native tried to attack me only to have Gembeach jump on front of me and kick his head off. Nice to see my pet doing her job. Let me end the next one. As you wish, master. Honestly, I hated him. He groped me multiple times. These gem shoes work awesome with my bunny quirk. Mariko will be so jealous. As she finished that sentence, the rabbit hero showed up. I kissed my pet. Go play Badonen. She is a true hero and my son wants her alive. I chuckled as the 2 bunny quirk girls fought and destroyed some cars. Now, old friend, I saw what my son did to All Might. It was so good to see. Are you and him still mad about Nana? With that, Gran Torino came at me like a rocket. He tried to attack me by bouncing off the walls to attack me from behind. When he got close, I used laser farts to end him, cutting off his head. What a way to go, death by farts. So Snipe JR, Edshot, which one of you is next? Either way, both of you die. I yawn and check my phone, which was next to me on my nightstand. It was 7 a.m. Momo was hugging me, and my phone was shaking with notifications. Hun, we are popular and I'm ending that grape-headed a hole. Momo kissed me until she saw what made me mad. He used Photoshop to turn her outfit into a bikini and said he hoped to squeeze her tats one day. I had to keep her in bed and calm her. Hun, calm down. We will end him soon. He will be a target at the camp. Him and the false heroes will be ended. You want to do it? Momo smirked. Trade him, groping me for a bite. He just won't know the bite will completely drain him. Might do worse to him though. Any ideas? I smirked and got dressed as I thought for a bit. Perverts like him should die surrounded by something he hates. Anyways, we have one more day as interns unless it was cancelled. Let's go replace our clones. We kissed, she got dressed, and we left to finish our stupid internship. Once the day was done, all interns were sent home since it's too dangerous. We all meet up the next day in class and Ida looks terrified. During lunch, I asked him what's wrong when he says, I saw Stain meet Fire Opal. I told Minwell what I had saw. Fire Opal has a giant grudge against All Might and has multiple quirks. He somehow got a quirk warp quirk cause I was about to attack when they both vanished. I pretend to think, didn't he say his father was All For One? Maybe we look for someone with a gem-based quirk born about 20 years ago. That's about when All For One was strongest. Everyone there agreed at my thoughts until Katsuki got snippy. You could be his son for all we know, Deku. We never met your dad except like 3 or 4 times, plus you have a twin somehow. Then again you were quirkless. I sighed. Haven't you heard of forced manifestation? Death Arms and Native were quirkless until something scared them almost to death. I was attacked by a sludge monster forcing mine, and when I met my twin he was being attacked by. Wasn't it your bully? I look at my dad, who nodded. He was held back twice because his grades. I was quirkless and an easy target, so I was usually hurt by his knife quirk. He could summon knives somehow. Izuku knocked his ass out after I got stabbed near my heart. That stab made mine activate. Ida thought of something. Hisashi, didn't Izuku have to hold you back when All Might scolded him for biting Bakugo? I sighed. It's because I can temporarily copy quirks if I drink enough blood or get a steady stream for 10 seconds. 10 seconds is safer for the target, but if I drain someone to the brink of death I get it longer. It has to be from the person directly, and All Might doesn't want others to think I'm All For One. Also, you told him about Katsuki bullying me. He thought he deserved it. That stunned everyone. My dad nodded. I hate bullies with a passion thanks to the jerk from my old school. Luckily Izuku calmed me down before I ended Katsuki and All Might for bullying and stopping karma. Momo hugged me and gave Katsuki the nastiest glare I have ever seen. How could you bully my cinnamon roll? The girls giggled and the guys sighed as blushed darkly. We got Katsuki's TCH sound before he left the table. We talked about everyone's internships after he left. We all complained about how boring it was. All of us were basically gophers except for Uraraka, who got taught some self-defense. Minta kept glaring at my dad as we talked about it. Okay Minta, why are you glaring at my brother? I already knew, but I wanted to hear it from his point of view. I did more than twice the work than Hisashi, and he f'd Mount Lady. I shrugged. It was legal since she doesn't turn 18 for a few more days, plus you have a girlfriend. Ida shook his head. Minta, I thought you were making progress. How is your girlfriend doing anyways? You've not talked about her for a while. Minta sighed. We broke up because I wouldn't try something she wanted. I'm not going to say what, but no guy should even want to try it. Momo smirked. What, you can't take what you dish out? That made him stomp away as the girls laugh. Well, next time he peeps you know how to threaten him, I guess. Ada leaned over and asked what it was Minta was referring to. I simply shrugged and finished my lunch. After lunch we all began to train to do special moves with our quirks. Momo, Dad, and I worked together since our quirks were identical, and I pretended to be shocked when I suddenly created a bar of gold. I pretended not to know why I could create stuff, then blamed it on me making Momo my vampire bride. He was still very mad and made me prove I didn't have any other quirk than my own and Momo's. To prove it I had to go to Recovery Girl to get a quirk DNA test done. As I walked there I injected my extra quirks into a blood bag I would use for a snack before a blood hunger, or whatever I'm going call the crazy mode, happens. Recovery Girl tested my blood and found only one huge vampire quirk with the ability to temporarily copy quirks, and Momo's quirk stuck in a section under the vampire bride's bit. She had me make her a bride temporarily, took my blood, had me undo it, and took another sample. Sample 1 had her quirk next to Momo's and the second had hers under the temporary copy. She dismissed me and called All Might to give him the results. What she didn't know was that I took a few years off of her appearance. When I got back to training, All Might apologized. It was somewhat funny to see him put his stumps together as he asked for forgiveness, but I held in my laughter as I forgave him. I told Momo the results as we fought each other. When some people got hurt I healed them like RG would have, making them confused. I explained the testing I did and they shrugged. Minta ran when I said I would heal him. Everyone laughed at him as he literally climbed to the ceiling of the place we were training in and stayed there. Once training was done I drank my quirk juice and went to the restroom. Once I got changed, Midnight cornered me and smirked. I want to be young forever. You grant it now. I pretended to not want to. Midnight, I don't know what will happen to you. It could end you. She growled and Momo walked over. Give the old hag what she wants. Maybe she won't be so annoying. I shook my head. But it made you know. It's illegal for us to do it thanks to the ages. Midnight pushed her boobs into my face. I won't tell if you don't. Of course, right before I could say fine and act defeated, Minta had to ruin it. No fair. First your brother and now you. Why can't I get any hot girls to want me? I then thought up a way to make him part of my army and blackmail them both. Midnight, if you want permanent youth you must get him off my back. She huffed and thought a bit. I am not doing him. I shrugged and walked away kissing Momo. After we got to the end of the hallway we heard her yell, fine. But you better bride me tomorrow. I will make a contract or something. Deal, but don't blame me when there are side effects and there must be video proof. I don't like liars. Before I could go around the corner Minta said he would call me later. Momo looked at me. Why didn't you just bite her? I know you wanted to. I sigh. Cause I wanted that pesky pervert off my back for a bit. Once I get Midnight I will have to rebride Mariko. All Might's stupid test had to ruin it. Might have to ask Dad to have Mount Lady get Minta. He would have to obey her and she obeys us, so he must obey us. Momo looked down at me. But you said I could end him. I begin to laugh. I think eternal torture should be a better punishment. At Add Salt, let's get his ex too. Let her have her fun. With those words leaving my mouth, Momo and I laughed. Being warped does have its stupid benefits. I smirked as I packed up all I needed for the camping, training trip. Momo was laying on my bed reading a book. Why are you packing? You know the trip is only going to be 2 days. I chuckled. Gotta look the part now, don't I? If everyone else is packed to the nines and we aren't, they will assume we knew. She sighed. Good point. I will just have my maids pack for me. I don't feel like it. I kiss her and smirk. I hope you hidden your special toys well. That made her blush darkly, then rush home. With Momo gone, I headed to the living room and watched some TV. Most of it was the usual stuff. Hero did this, villain did that, citizens attack heroes. Wait, that last one is new. I watch it smirking as heroes who have broken laws get attacked by mad citizens, both new and old quirk holders. When someone nut-checks the hero, I laugh my ass off. This is working much better than planned. Dad, Mom, and Gem Beach came out and laughed as I rewinded it to play it again. I looked up at Dad. Did you ever think I would cause this to happen? He shook his head. Never, son. I thought you'd be a hero. This is way more than I ever imagined. Mom smiled. I'm glad that I can be a villain again. You think I chose a good name? I put Mother Opal on my axe when I ended that hero. I nodded as I stretched some. It's fine, but if you or I are ever figured out, so is the other and Momo. Oh well, should that happen we will just warp away. I did create quirk blocker. Basically our quirks will always work. Once I finish that, Momo returns and sits on my lap. I can't believe our second event is about to happen. Well, you're third, my vampire king. I kiss Momo and smirk. I know, hun. Don't worry, I will have you, Mom. And Mount Lady. Mount Lady interrupted me. It's Gem Beach when it's just us or we are doing our work. When I'm being a hero, then you can call me Mount Lady. I nodded. Okay, you three will have 2 special missions, one tonight and one after the camp. The mention of one being tonight got all 3 interested. Thanks to All Might freaking out, I lost Mariko as a bride. I need you 3 to grab her and any other female hero that might be useful. Also grab me Best Genist. I want to see his quirk and see if he is pure of heart or not. If not, end him publicly. The trio nodded as Mom asked, should we grab Midnight? Momo laughed and told her she's already in my grasp. You know the saying, speak of the devil and he will appear. Apparently it counts for heroes and villains too, as Midnight knocked on the door. Dad shift. Gem Beach hide. Mom, can you and Momo start lunch please? I stood up and fixed my outfit as I headed to the door. Dad became my twin watching TV. Gem Beach became an actual rabbit and sat on his lap, and Mom and Momo started lunch within 3 steps to the door. I opened it and smiled. Hi Midnight, how are you today? She tossed me a camera and pushed me in. I held up my end of the deal, you hold up yours. I checked and she did have some fun with mine too, though not how he expected it. Once I watched what I needed, I put it down and bit Midnight on the neck, making her my bride. Once I was done, I smirked as she grew onyx and regular opals on her body. She was freaking out as her body becomes similar to Gem Beach. Welcome to the family, Onyx slut. You are now part of the Fire Opal family. I laugh as I close the front door with a tendril of Fire Opal. Dad and GB reveal themselves while Mom and Momo wave with gems on their hands. When OS tried to run, I smirked. Come back here and sit on the couch next to my dad and his bride Gem Beach. Her body obeyed, but you can see her struggle. I sat in my chair and smirk. Now, don't try to fight me. If you try to, I will erase your memory of this and turn in that video you made for me. That caused her to freeze and look at me scared. Now that you understand, listen. I want to convert heroes just in it for fame into either more brides or corpses. Luckily, I don't want to end women, or you'd be the latter. You will obey me, Mom, Dad, and Momo, since they rank above you. Tonight you girls will go on a hunt for me as either alter ego, hero or villain. Female heroes with nice quirks or are very vain. With that, Mom and Momo finish making lunch and we all eat, talking like a family, which shocked our newest member. After a bit she got used to it and asked the usual, how long have we all have been villains, why, and our goals. Needless to say, she fell backwards when GB told her what her hero name was. This made everyone else laugh as she collected herself again. After that I called Minded to set up a meeting in the park. Hun, you can get rid of him now or at the camp. I'm just going to use him to get info on vain heroes. When she said at the camp, I nodded and got ready. Onyx slut, you may leave as Midnight and act as you normally would until I summon you. She nodded and made the gems and bunny aspect vanish for now as she left to do her hero work. Oh Midnight, no biting anyone. I don't need people dying in sunlight. With that I grabbed my wallet and headed out to meet the grape-headed pervert. Once I met up with him, we went to a nearby mall to do some shopping for the camp trip. As he flirted with some girls, I grabbed some hero memorabilia of some lesser-known heroes. When he finished, I asked about heroes he liked. Most were already on my end list, but I sometimes moved them to bride lift if they could be useful. After a few hours I walk away smirking. By the way, I got the video earlier. I bet your ex-girlfriend would love it. That makes him panic some before I laugh and tell him I was joking. Oh yeah, remember those hot females with Fire Opal? He nodded. You bet. I was hoping to find better pictures of them but haven't found any. With that I laid out my trap. I happened to know a site with pictures of all 3. Unfortunately, I don't know the site address, but I have some pictures. I pull out a small envelope with pictures inside. It took me a few hours to decrypt the site, so how about you pay me for my time? Honestly, I got sick as he gave me a few $1,000s for pictures of my mom, Momo, and GB in their villain forms. Once that was done, I headed home and smirked as I called Momo. We have our mole scapegoat. Knowing him, those pictures will come with him on the trip. If not, pack backups just in case to plant on him. Sign them as a thanks for being the mole. She laughed. I gotta know, how much did he pay to be our mole? A few grand. Most likely money from midnight for him to keep quiet. I bet when OS debuts he will call me for pictures. Maybe we can get Mariko and another female hero early so we have 3 show up. I used an untraceable burner phone to call Minta, and I am going to hack his phone later to add more calls to and from it. You could hear her smile. Good, now should I secretly grab the chosen too? I will have GB join me to help. I chuckled. If you want to my vampire queen, I won't force you. Maybe we could grab some male brides too. I know Shoto wants to be one, but I don't want a classmate unaccounted for when we attack. She started laughing before she reminded me that I can give him a cloning and shapeshifting quirks. I sigh and notice a girl being attacked. Actually, never mind the second one. Might have just found a girl. She ends the call and I rush over to the girl and watch from the shadows. Both things were muscular and had odd skin colors, so mutation aspects to their quirks. Purple thug, stop fighting quirkless beach. We are trying to help you out. Blue thug agreed. Quirkless slut only use it to get babies with quirks. Quirkless sluts can't be business owners. With that I formed my fire opal outfit and showed myself. My, what do I see here? I formed a cane and leaned on it. Didn't you blockheads see my announcement in Hasu? Blue scoffed. Get lost, faker. If you don't leave in 3 seconds I will beat you up. Shaking my head I poked him with the tip of my cane. I assure you I am the real fire opal. After all, I can still taste All Might's blood on my tongue from when I cut them off. By the time I finished speaking, Blue Thug was now normal colored and lost a lot of muscle mass. Purple knelt. We are sorry. Please return his quirk. We won't attack quirkless anymore, I swear. I pretended to think until I took purples to the same effect. With them now quirkless they ran away. The girl spoke. Thank you for saving me. You're not a villain, are you? I smiled at her. No, I am kinda a vigilante, but I target both sides for breaking the law. Now why did they say you were quirkless, my dear? I take her hand and teleport away to an abandoned building. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Just don't want police or heroes to attack during our chat. Momo POV. I smirk as I get into position with Mother Opal, GB, OS, and Mischief Maker. Our first target was for our supper. The way we planned it, we would get food, hit the few stores on the street which are anti-quirkless and best genist, and maybe a few other fakes. Mischief Maker, are you ready to create mass chaos? Let's level this stupid restaurant. With everyone nodding, they hop down and stand pretty. Mischief Maker began cloning us and making it look like the mirror was doing it. Once we had an army of us, I took the mirror and had her copy herself. We then hit target 1. We had the clones move everyone away from us and protect the mirror as we walked in and knocked out staff. When some perverts asked for pictures of us, I let them before Onyx Slut ruined their family jewels. After getting the food and money we wanted, we got everyone one and flattened the restaurant. It was simple with a mix of different gem spikes and Mischief Maker's ability to use our quirks through the clones. With that done, Best Genist suddenly arrived. Genist yelled, "Stop their villains and surrender or else I will use force." That's when we noticed that Eraserhead was there too, trying to stop our quirks. We made it look like our gem disguises were retracting as a clone punched him from behind. When that happened, our gems regrew and Genist noticed the mirror. Using his odd threads, he sent the clone fighting Eraserhead at it, which we instantly blocked. Eraser spoke. The clones are strong, but why didn't they vanish when I used my quirk? Mother Opal and Jim each stepped up with their clones as the rest of us hit the next store. Good job, MM. Hopefully the mirror won't be broken for a while. I'm hoping to destroy Mighty Mart before we are done. She smiled at me from under her odd mask, which looked like a demented clown. Same here, Emeralda. Let's also get the 3 dojos here. Quirkists piss me off. We all laughed as our clones protected us in the mirror while the street was raided like it was the end of the world. Mother Opal POV. I walked over to Eraserhead and bowed. I have heard so much about you, Aizawa. My son absolutely adores you, so I must say I am sorry. Walk away now or I will have to hurt you. With that said, I formed some regular opal swords with green gold handles. Eraser stepped forward. You should talk your son out of his evil ways and turn the entire group in. If he keeps going down this path, he will die. I shook my head. I am sorry, but no one can end any one of our family. We are immortals thanks to all the quirks my son duplicated and boosted. When he tensed up, I attacked along with my clones. His attack focused on using his scarf-like capture gear. While he knows basic martial arts, he is more apt to make his opponents into his weapons. Because of this, sometimes a clone would be caught and sent into me, or another clone like a battering ram on a string. What surprised him was when they would pop into a cloud of smoke and then new ones would pop out of the mirror to replace them. It was fun to watch him struggle until I punched him with opal knuckles. With him knocked out, I tied him up and sent a message to my son asking if I could end him. His reply was, "Keep him alive. He is needed in a future plan. If he dies now, I can't use him to reveal my identity." I just love my devious son, so I just gave him some minor cuts and left to help the raiding team. Okay girls, let's make my son proud. This made all of them cheer and work harder. Jumbeach POV. Now I remember why I hate this guy. Every single time I met him, he would scold my improper manners. Literally, this is all he is talking about as my clones jump around him and get a good few kicks or punches in. What surprised me was when he started to end my clones by cutting off their heads with his thread. I luckily avoided his nearly invisible trap, but most of my clones didn't. Once the smoke from them dissipated, I laughed as more came from the mirror. Poor best genist. Never seen an ancient artifact before. Master dug up a good few and wanted us to test the mirror of Narcissus. With that said, I kick him in the face and reveal his long giraffe neck. I would have laughed, but the jerk caught me in his thread. The clones tried to free me, but that's when the mirror was suddenly broken. Makes the clones vanish as she was ordered. If something doesn't happen soon, I am literally screwed. As he started to drag me away, Mother Opal cut his thread, letting me free. I kissed her on the lips and giggled as best genist wretched like he was about to throw up. Mother Opal scoffed. "Oh great, a person against other relationships. You're dead, genist." With that, we teamed up and fought him. His thread was too slow to keep up with us as we slowly ended him. Once we finished him, we warped home. Mischief Maker POV. It was in the middle of my clones destroying the last of the dojos when Mariko struck. She came straight at me and pretended to fight me. "I'm sorry, but we need to destroy that mirror now. They have over 20 heroes coming this way." That was the last thing I wanted to hear, but I told Mother Opal, Onyx Slut, and Emeralda through the clones. I couldn't tell Gembeach as the clone I wanted to use to tell her got ended. I cussed out loud as the mirror was shot by some hero with a quirk that shoots beanbags and sticky goo from their hands. The clones vanished as planned, and I went into some form of rage along with the other two near me as Mother Opal ran to help GB. "You dare break my fiancé's latest artifact?" I glared at the hero as I formed long swords of bones and blood. "Master set my quirk free and you offend him and us. Prepare to die, you miserable fake hero." I quickly dart forward and cut off his head. Onyx Slut whistled. "Master chose a wild one. Toss me a sword, please. I'll end some of these posers too." I gladly do so as I go after another hero that works under the mirror breaker. We knock out a few of them, but we end a majority of the hero squad sent after us. GB and Mo had already left by the time we were done. I collect what I can of the mirror's dust to make it look very important before we left as well. As I warped into Master's living room, I collapsed onto the floor. I punched the floor and growl. That's when Master rushed up. "Okay, who punched the floor and why?" I nearly broke our next plan's artifact. I flinched. "Sorry, I was upset that the mirror was broken so soon." To add insult to injury, it was my uncle who did it. He sighed and patted my head. "It's fine, Lily. It was according to plan, plus I will be messing with the heroes with our next few plans." With that, everyone got an evil grin. Camp is in a few days, and we will end the wild pussycats. Vlad, Momona, Bakugo, Minta, and a lot of heroes and villains. We have a rogue group in the league and we will end them. It before the girls return. I walked out of the basement and yawned as I sit down next to Dad to watch TV. "Did they have fun?" He nodded as shows up to the mirror being broken as the camera crew had to leave. "Nice, it looks like the mirror caused the clones. Mischief Maker did well." Well, I got the quirk to work as intended. Each item created dates back between 3000 BC and 1200 AD. Now meet his gloves or Apollo's chariot. Dad said, "Why not both and make a stockpile for future events? Also, if you can make Aegis, the shield that had Medusa's face burned into it. Let's scare some people back." I nodded and headed back downstairs as I began to form the gloves of Midas. Once I finished them, I nearly dropped them when I hear a loud thud. Time skipped to after the announcement of last chapter. "So hun, what shall I do to the pervert? Can I castrate him?" I laughed and kissed my fiancé. "No, Momo. I think I know a better way to end him. I've planned a very fun artifact to end him." I gently pull out a small pearl necklace and make sure none of the girls touch it. This is Aphrodite's pearls. This necklace will make any boy who sees its wearer become mindless thrills. Let's have Minta attack his friends with his mistress hiding the pearls. My phone goes off and it's Minta. Momo laughed. "Speak of the devil, huh? How long do the pearls affect their target?" I answered my phone on speaker after motioning everyone to be quiet. "Minta, it's 3 in the bloody morning. What do you want?" "Dude, there's new SXY villainesses. Can you see if that website has pictures of them? Hopefully with Mischief Maker and Emeralda together." I coughed a bit. "You woke me up because you wanted more pictures. You know the cost for them. I can't believe I have to hop onto the dark net again. Do you know their names?" He rambles them off, thanks me, and hangs up. The girls start to plan their photos as my mom and dad go to bed. As they talked, I put on my Mita's gloves and turn a glass of water into gold with my right glove without affecting the water inside. I touch the water and smirk as water remains unchanged. I use my other glove to change it back. Perfect, the gloves work. Also, if they worked as wanted, so should the pearls. The effects last for a month or until the wearer says the victim's name is freed. All the girls wanted a set, but I said no. Girls, calm down. Artifacts have to be unique. Now, Gembeach, you get the next artifact, Apollo's chariot. Let's just say the attack will be the midnight sun. Hun, you get the necklace. Mischief, you want a shield or Mita's gloves? She chose shield, so Onyx Slut got the gloves. They watched as I formed the shield in front of them. I pressed a button paralyzing GB and OS for a couple of seconds when they see the ruby eyes I put in Medusa's face. Don't worry, you two will be able to move in a couple of minutes. I show Mischief how to use it and tried using mirrored shades to resist its effect. It definitely worked, and with Apollo's chariot flying around the camp, it will make the sunglasses make sense in the middle of the night. With that done, I set up a part of the basement into a photography set with perfect lighting and cameras. I let the girls have fun until Momo hugs me. Izu, you want to join us in the pictures? I'm sure if you actually set up a website, lots of girls will want to see your body. This made me blush at the idea as I finished the chariot. I'm not sure that is a good idea, plus the site is a lie to make that rapist our biggest scapegoat. Eventually all 4 of the girls talked me into it, and after removing all of my scars from years of bullying and putting on my disguise, let them take pictures. It did go a bit further, but not gonna tell that here. Morning came and there was a rapid knocking on the door. I got dressed in shorts and a simple shirt and answered it. Midoriya, what's up? I sighed and closed the door behind me as I walked out. Mind you, it's 8 a.m. and I just woke up. Be glad I have a program running on my PC to find stuff like that. It'll text me when it finds something. I motioned Minda to follow me as I head to the nearby IHOP. Yes, sorry Midoriya, I couldn't wait. I'll pay for breakfast and the pics. I nodded and walked in. I saw Earl and walked over. Hey wolf boy, get me a drink of ab. Earl laughed. Yo Fang, how's it been? I smiled. Been fine, finally adjusted to my quirk. The day you met me was the day after it manifested. I'm Midoriya Izuku, by the way. Earl introduced himself and I introduced him to Minta. We talked and had fun making jokes about what's going on with the world. That's when Earl said something. Oh yeah, I think my quirk evolved. I can now become a cat as well. I pretend to think before looking at him. Maybe your quirk is if you eat animal fur you can become them. He shrugged, saying he'd test it as we eat breakfast, and my phone goes off. It's Momo saying the pictures are ready. Hey Minta, the program found the girl you were looking for. Let's go see the full file. See you later, Earl. I give him the animal fur website address and I head home with Minta bouncing and trying to race me. Once I get home, Momo walked out and tossed an envelope at me. I can't believe you. How could you? I hug her. Hun, breath and let me explain please. Your hormones are going crazy from the vampire bride transformation. Now what happened and what's in that envelope? Momo pretended to calm down. Does that villainous turn you on more than me? Not only Emeralda but the other broads with her. Momo cried on my shoulder as I saw mine to take the envelope and run without paying me. Once he was gone, Momo and I laughed softly. We quickly went inside after pretending to talk for a while. Next time you're planning theatrics, warn me in text. She nodded as she kissed me. So did he pay you? I shook my head. I will pretend to forget about it until the camp event. I will reveal who I am, have you make him your thrall, and have his own classmates end him. She kisses me again. Can you make a bikini to wear as I plunder the camp? Before I answer, the other girls want one too. I sigh and look at all of them. After a couple of minutes, they each have a bikini made of their respective gems, but Mischief Maker's is made of black metal and strips of green gold. I remove all birthmarks, scars, and other identifying marks from where they are exposed as my dad walks in. I knew you were a ladies' man, son, but Gembeach is my bride. I sigh. Sorry, Dad. They wanted to take pictures to make mine to look like a mole for SXY centerfold-worthy pictures and want bikinis to go with their sunglasses for when we do Operation Midnight Sun. He laughs, saying that he was joking and says I can have her. This makes her happy as I feel her quirk become a part of my collection. After that, we test all the previous artifacts I made. Some were simple with just flight, lasers, lightning, fire, and I made a few more dangerous ones. There was one that lets people become different aliens. I based it off an old TV show and made multiple show-based ones as a way to really mess with the heroes. Mischief asked for another mirror and I shook my head. Not right now. After the camp and a few others, shall we need it again? She nodded and we all went to bed since tomorrow Momo and I have to go to camp. I walked out of the basement and yawned as I sit down next to Dad to watch TV. Did they have fun? He nodded as shows up to the mirror being broken as the camera crew had to leave. Nice, it looks like the mirror caused the clones. Mischief Maker did well. Well, I got the quirk to work as intended. Each item created dates back between 3000 BC and 120 AD. Now Mita's gloves or Apollo's chariot. Dad said, why not both and make a stockpile for future events? Also, if you can make Aegis, the shield that had Medusa's face burned into it. Let's scare some people back. I nodded and headed back downstairs as I began to form the gloves of Mitas. Once I finished them, I nearly dropped them when I hear a loud thud. Time skipped to after the announcement of last chapter. So hun, what shall I do to the pervert? Can I castrate him? I laughed and kissed my fiancé. No Momo. I think I know a better way to end him. I've planned a very fun artifact to end him. I gently pull out a small pearl necklace and make sure none of the girls touch it. This is Aphrodite's pearls. This necklace will make any boy who sees its wearer become mindless thrills. Let's have Minta attack his friends with his mistress hiding the pearls. My phone goes off and it's Minta. Momo laughed. Speak of the devil, huh? How long do the pearls affect their target? I answered my phone on speaker after motioning everyone to be quiet. Minta, it's 3 in the bloody morning. What do you want? Dude, there's new SXY villainesses. Can you see if that website has pictures of them? Hopefully with Mischief Maker and Emeralda together. I coughed a bit. You woke me up because you wanted more pictures. You know the cost for them. I can't believe I have to hop onto the darknet again. Do you know their names? He rambles them off, thanks me, and hangs up. The girls start to plan their photos as my mom and dad go to bed. As they talked, I put on my Mita's gloves and turn a glass of water into gold with my right glove without affecting the water inside. I touch the water and smirk as water remains unchanged. I use my other glove to change it back. Perfect, the gloves work. Also, if they worked as wanted, so should the pearls. The effects last for a month or until the wearer says the victim's name is freed. All the girls wanted a set, but I said no. Girls, calm down. Artifacts have to be unique. Now, Gembeach, you get the next artifact, Apollo's chariot. Let's just say the attack will be the midnight sun. Hun, you get the necklace. Mischief, you want a shield or Mita's gloves? She chose shield, so Onyx Slut got the gloves. They watched as I formed the shield in front of them. I pressed a button paralyzing GB and OS for a couple of seconds when they see the ruby eyes I put in Medusa's face. Don't worry, you two will be able to move in a couple of minutes. I show Mischief how to use it and try using mirrored shades to resist its effect. It definitely worked, and with Apollo's chariot flying around the camp, it will make the sunglasses make sense in the middle of the night. With that done, I set up a part of the basement into a photography set with perfect lighting and cameras. I let the girls have fun until Momo hugs me. Izu, you want to join us in the pictures? I'm sure if you actually set up a website, lots of girls will want to see your body. This made me blush at the idea as I finished the chariot. I'm not sure that is a good idea, plus the site is a lie to make that grapist our biggest scapegoat. Eventually all 4 of the girls talked me into it, and after removing all of my scars from years of bullying and putting on my disguise, let them take pictures. It did go a bit further, but not gonna tell that here. Morning came and there was a rapid knocking on the door. I got dressed in shorts and a simple shirt and answered it. Midoriya, what's up? I sighed and closed the door behind me as I walked out. Mind you, it's 8 AM and I just woke up. Be glad I have a program running on my PC to find stuff like that. It'll text me when it finds something. I motioned Minta to follow me as I head to the nearby IHOP. Yeah, sorry Midoriya, I couldn't wait. I'll pay for breakfast and the pics. I nodded and walked in. I saw Earl and walked over. Hey wolf boy, get me a drink of ab. Earl laughed. Yo Fang, how's it been? I smiled. Been fine, finally adjusted to my quirk. The day you met me was the day after it manifested. I'm Midoriya Izuku, by the way. Earl introduced himself and I introduced him to Minta. We talked and had fun making jokes about what's going on with the world. That's when Earl said something. Oh yeah, I think my quirk evolved. I can now become a cat as well. I pretend to think before looking at him. Maybe your quirk is if you eat animal fur you can become them. He shrugged, saying he'd test it as we eat breakfast, and my phone goes off. It's Momo saying the pictures are ready. Hey Minta, the program found the girl you were looking for. Let's go see the full file. See you later, Earl. I give him the animal fur website address and I head home with Minta bouncing and trying to race me. Once I get home, Momo walked out and tossed an envelope at me. I can't believe you. How could you? I hug her. Hun, breath and let me explain, please. Your hormones are going crazy from the vampire bride transformation. Now what happened and what's in that envelope? Momo pretended to calm down. Does that villainous turn you on more than me? Not only Emeralda but the other broads with her. Momo cried on my shoulder as I saw Minta take the envelope and run without paying me. Once he was gone, Momo and I laughed softly. We quickly went inside after pretending to talk for a while. Next time you're planning theatrics, warn me in text. She nodded as she kissed me. So did he pay you? I shook my head. I will pretend to forget about it until the camp event. I will reveal who I am, have you make him your thrall, and have his own classmates end him. She kisses me again. Can you make a bikini to wear as I plunder the camp? Before I answer, the other girls want one too. I sigh and look at all of them. After a couple of minutes, they each have a bikini made of their respective gems, but Mischief Maker's is made of black metal and strips of green gold. I remove all birthmarks, scars, and other identifying marks from where they are exposed as my dad walks in. I knew you were a ladies' man, son, but Gembeach is my bride. I sigh. Sorry, Dad. They wanted to take pictures to make mine to look like a mole for SXY centerfold-worthy pictures and want bikinis to go with their sunglasses for when we do Operation Midnight Sun. He laughs, saying that he was joking, and says I can have her. This makes her happy as I feel her quirk become a part of my collection. After that, we test all the previous artifacts I made. Some were simple with just flight, lasers, lightning, fire, and I made a few more dangerous ones. There was one that lets people become different aliens. I based it off an old TV show and made multiple show-based ones as a way to really mess with the heroes. Mischief asked for another mirror and I shook my head. Not right now. After the camp and a few others, shall we need it again? She nodded and we all went to bed since tomorrow Momo and I have to go to camp. I woke up and grabbed my phone to answer it. Please tell me there's a reason you're calling me at midnight. This woke up Momo and Lily as they were in the room next to mine. I wanted to call and apologize for stealing the pics. Look, I snuck over and put the money in the mailbox for you. I hope Momo calmed down after you explained. I growled, acting mad. Nope, she doesn't believe me since I got you to act less perverted for a bit. You owe me a lot. I hung up and checked the mail, finding a really heavy envelope. It was easily a few $100,000 in cash, but how did he get it? I headed inside to see my dad and Momo on the couch. What's in that envelope, son? I tossed the envelope to Dad and he raised his eyebrows in shock. I think Minda has a big secret. I'll have Lily check it out later. If his family is secretly rich or he has underground connections, we might need to keep him. We will need a new scapegoat. That's when I heard Lily rush by me and leave. I was going to give her a new quirk, but okay. I sigh, making Powder leave my hand and follow her current path backwards. Hun, you're an idiot. I look at Momo as she did the same thing but on my steps. Oh, I forgot brides share my quirks. I need more sleep. I'm going to beat the crap out of mine till later. I headed back to bed and dozed off for the next 6 hours. When I woke up, I grabbed my bag and headed to school with Momo. Momo and I were there first and on different sides of the classroom, with her acting in at me. I smelled Hagakure before I saw her walk in. She was in casual clothes and of course invisible to the naked eye. I had a way to see her but didn't feel like using it. She and Momo talked for a while before she walked over to me. Ouch, what did you do to Yaoyorozu? I've never seen her so mad. I sighed and acted the part. I did a favor for someone and she found it. She is mad for what I was doing. Before you ask, I can't who or what it was. I swore on my fangs and I am not filing them for a month. Hagakure tilted her head. She was wearing a headband and sighed. Can I get a hint or something? Maybe I can help you out. I simply shook my head and acted worried as I rubbed my arm. She walked away and more of the class walked in, with Minda giving me a really wide berth as I ignored him. After Aizawa walked in, we were all ushered to a bus labeled as a normal high school. I hid my anger as we started riding to the camp. After a few hours, we stopped at a cliff. I stood next to my dad, softly chatting with him as Momo scoffed and walked by me. Damn, how bad did you piss of Momo? She is regaining her coloring with how mad she is. I shook my head as the wild pussycats introduced themselves. I signaled for Momo to get ready to forgive as I had a feeling that the cliff we are on is about to vanish. As it dissolved, I pushed my dad onto the bus, dashed grabbing Momo, and gripped the edge of the ground that wasn't affected before I pull us up. Are you guys stupid or just reckless? After forming a blood shield, I surfed down on it and collected everyone and relaxed after everyone at worst had a few scrapes. Soon after, Momo and my dad surfed down, with Momo apologizing for being mad. I'm sorry I was so mad, Izu. I understand it was just a favor, but why that jerk? I just tapped my fangs and she sighed. You and your oath on your fangs. After that, we had gotten to camp, we ate, and I began to twitch a bit as I searched for a pouch of blood, not to find any. Crap. Aizawa walked over and saw I forgot to pack the cooler. That's not good, is it? Tiger, come here quickly. The only male of the group walked over, and when he got a bit too close to me, I tried to bite him. His playa buddy Quirk let him dodge me. What he didn't expect, and neither did I, was that I could bend my body crazily, breaking my bones until I could bite him. I drank for longer than 10 seconds and pulled away. Once I was done, I pretended to freak out. Oh, what the F did I do this time? My entire body feels like I was put in a taffy puller. Momo rushed over and sighed as she saw the empty cooler. Hun, I told you to pack it. Oh crap, I didn't. I'm so sorry. You went into bloodlust cause I was mad at you. She hugged me and gently carried me to my bed, where she covered me. My dad walked over and explained that I was upset that Momo was upset with me that I wouldn't eat. They bought it and had to figure out a way for them to feed us vampires. I healed by supper time and I slowly walked out with some stumbling. Remind me to always pack 2 blood coolers. Everyone except Minta and Bakugo walked over, glad to see I was fine already. After I got through them, I walked over to Tiger. I am so sorry about biting you. When I get really hungry in that aspect, I kinda go crazy. Also, your quirk is very useful. It's helping me move with less pain. Tiger picked me up in one hand. What do you mean by that, Dracula? I yip and squirm. If I drink someone's blood for 10 seconds or get enough making them pass out, I have a temporary copy of someone's quirk. He was stunned and put me down a bit curious. How much longer till you're fully healed and the copy vanishes? I shrugged. An hour in the healing and I think roughly a day quirk-wise. He smirked. You'll fight me in an hour. I want to see what it's like to fight me. He and Aizawa, who ran up when I was grabbed, walked into the cabin they were staying in. I quickly walked over to Momo and ate supper with her, surprised to taste blood in it. Momo shushed me and pointed to everyone's elbows. There was a band-aid on the inside where everyone had to donate blood. The most noticeable one was Hagakure with hers floating around. I scratched the back of my head. I apologize to you all. I didn't mean to cause you all to have to donate blood. It wasn't part of the plan at all, and neither was the cooler being empty, but it may be worth it since I could taste everyone's quirks, including the WWPs. A mess-up became an epic opportunity. After supper, I walked over to an arena and braced myself to fight Tiger. It was fun fighting him with my enhanced speed and using his pliability quirk against him. By the end of the fight, I had 2 scratches on my arm when he got punched at least 4 times. He gave up after a bit and laughed. I am so glad that you're a good guy. If a villain had my quirk, there would be no way for anyone to stop them if they can move as fast as you. I laughed and slowly stood back up. I can help you increase your speed. I actually do special training to help move faster for longer. There's actually 3 types of muscle in a person's body. I've trained for months much harder than most can to convert them all. No more red or white muscle types. I'm just the fused pink muscles now. Vampires naturally change to pink muscles as I learned with Momo. Pink has white strength and red's endurance. I gave Tiger my exercise plan to change his muscles and smirk after I had faux bed. He would barely get in a day's worth of it before I personally end him. I was glad he agreed to keep the muscle training secret. I don't want any fake heroes to find out how to do it. So tomorrow will be training and tomorrow night will be a massacre. I hate this stupid camp. Minta is bugging me during breaks if there's any cell service. I knocked him out during breakfast as it was too early. After about an hour of training, I lost Tiger's quirk as I helped him train his muscles. That's when I saw Kota, a young hero hater. I saw his heart was pure, but he just upset his hero parents were ended. That night after supper, I got on his good side as I showed him my fangs. After a while of talking, I asked if a villain promised to bring back his parents, would he follow that person? He shook his head, saying he would love his parents back, but he doesn't want to have to break the law to do it. I smiled and walked away. There is a resurrection quirk out there. If I find the person and they can use it on your parents, I will send them your way. This made him cheer a bit and follow, since we get to use the camp's hot spring and he was warned about Minta. While we were all relaxing in the hot spring after a long day of training, I actually dozed off. While this happened, Minta climbed the wall, got hit by Kota, and then got tied up by Zero. By the time I woke up, everyone else was leaving and I was thirsty. Damn it, I finally relax, doze off, and now I am thirsty. The second I said thirsty, I glanced at Minta, causing him to pass out. With a laugh, I dry off and change. I need water, not blood, but him fainting made it worth the joke. The rest agreed and we all went to bed. The next day, Class 1B joined us a bit before lunch. Seriously, we have a full day and a half more training than these idiots, and that blonde idiot tried to gloat. I ignored him until he tried to clone my quirk by hitting me. When he tried, his body paled, fangs quickly formed, and he became really thirsty for blood. I knocked him out after he bit and nearly ended a good amount of his class. We had him tied up, put in a form of a jail cell, and I smirked secretly. After lunch, I asked Aizawa if I can call my mom and see how she is going. I told him I've never been gone this long and I didn't want her to have a panic attack. He allowed it and I called her. Hey mom, how are you doing? If someone is listening, son, say you got hurt a bit. I laughed. I'm fine, except a classmate tried to mimic my quirk. He was hit with a major bloodlust. Okay, I will make it simple. Minta is worthless. Lily found out he just stole money from his parents and they are not happy. Also, do you need all the girls for the party? I'm glad you're okay, mom. Yes, I will tell Momo you said hi. Don't forget your show is on tonight at 7. I don't need you to forget and not understand next week. She laughed. I'll also pack the light bow. This will be fun. I said bye and hung up. Aizawa told me to get back to training and I did. That night there was a challenge of courage. We had Class 1B start as the Scarers. I smirked as I was teamed up with Momo and we both were ready to have a lot of fun once the attack started. That's when blue fire coated the forest in an area. It was too soon for our attack and we knew who it was. I rushed to Dabai and growled at him. What are you doing here? I never called for you. Dabai looked confused. Shigaraki told us that we were. He said that you wanted us to kidnap Bakugo and Minta. I sighed. Should have known that he was the traitor. Follow his plan but instead end Bakugo. I will deal with Shigi later. He nodded. Anything for the man who saved my brother from more torture and ended my father. We went our separate ways and I became Fire Opal and I used a quirk to tell my mom that I hope the girls are ready. They arrived and I smirked more. Let's have fun. And Shigaraki's minions that won't bow to me and anyone from Class 1B. Bakugo, Minta, the teachers, and the wild pussycats are our main targets. Leave anyone else hurt and that's it. Broken bones at worst. With that I teleported to Shiggy and smirked. You know your plan was badly timed. It gave me the ability to see that you are the traitorous group. Shigaraki tried to grab me and decay me. I let him, but nothing happened to my arm. His quirk backfired and he became dust in front of me. With the main traitor dead, I warped back and saw a big idiot about to attack Kota. I blocked his punch at Kota and growled, "We don't end children. They are our future." Muscular scoffed and punched me into the mountainside. I will end who or what I want. No random low-rank villain will stop me. He tried to grab Kota only for me to stop him again. I am Fire Opal, you idiot. I rank higher than Shigaraki because I am his boss. Actually, more like was, I ended him for betraying me. Muscular growled. Shigaraki was the leader of the League of Villains, you were just the face. This time he tried to end me, but instead I bit his head off and swallowed it whole. I hate idiots who follow idiots. Kid, go down the mountainside and hide in the cabin. I swear on my villain roots my team won't end you as we fight our traitors. Kota ran away and I got hit by a big explosion from Bakugo. I smirked and turned. Good timing, bud. I was just about to look for you. This caused him to point-blank blast me in the face. I simply brushed off my Fire Opal shell and shrugged. Damn, you are weak. My brother has more of a punch and he is quirkless. When he tried to attack me again, I stabbed him, destroying his heart. He shuddered and coughed a bit as I pierced his lungs next, making him spit up blood. When I saw he was near death, I revealed myself. Bet you regret being a piece of shit to me now, don't you? His last word was Deku before I removed his brain and eyes. Once I was redisguised, I carried his corpse to WWP. When I walked into their view, I dropped him and rushed at them, ending Tiger instantly. Once he was dead, I ripped out his brain and ate it in front of his teammates. This made them all hurl before I stole their quirk and ate their brains too. After they were all dead, I headed to the meetup point and waited. Momo, Emerald POV. I walked through forest and camp, ending all the boys from 1B. When I found Minta, I smirked and adjusted my dress to show more cleavage. Hello there. You're the boy who wanted to see me naked, right? Even though he was about to die, he nodded furiously. I slowly walked over to him and bit his neck as I made him a simple drone. Once he was changed, I filled his pockets with pictures of us girls signed with, "To our perverted spy." With him as a simple drone and no vampire powers, I had him attack his classmates, and if he gets caught, he is to bite his tongue and die. He goes off to do his job and I find Vlad, the teacher of 1B. Hello Vladdy, wanna give me a detention? I kinda felt sick saying it, but it definitely flustered the bloodbender. As he tried to make his brain register what I said, I kicked his head off. After I cleaned his blood off my heels, I walked to the main cabin just in time to see mine to die from him biting his tongue while trapped in Aizawa's scarf. Damn it, the stupid effing midget didn't even get a single person. I screamed before I ran away as Aizawa tried to grab me. After a bit, I got away from him as I ran by where Izuku ended the wild pussycats. I licked my lips at all the blood but kept going as I ended up at the meeting point. All the traitors team was there and some people from our class were about to come our way. Izuku, his dad, and I changed to our normal, high school looks and had them beat us up a bit. By the time Todoroki, Shoji, Kurashima, Uraraka, and Tsu got to us, we looked close to death and burned like crazy. The girls pretended to try to drag us away but easily dropped us and ran as Todoroki tried to burn them. When I woke up after passing out, the three of us were in a hospital room covered in bandages. When the detective and his friends came in, he asked the usual questions. What do you remember? Do you have any ideas why they would want you? Can you think of anything that can help us find them? We lied and got away with it easily. We were randomly attacked while we went through a small game between us and 1B. Some guy with hands wanted us during the USJ incident, so maybe he tried to kidnap us. No, officer, sorry. Can you get us some blood, please? We are close to going into bloodlust. When the police left, our classmates that weren't too hurt came in and pretty much asked us the same questions as the nurse gave us our blood. We answered and tried to stay as polite as possible while we had to hit some more clingy people. Is everyone okay? We were kinda attacked right off the bat and didn't see anyone else. Uraraka growled. Minta was the stupid mole. He tried to end Aizawa before he ended himself. He had pictures of the villainesses that work with Fire Opal. Shoji formed a mouth on one of his arms. Bakugo was ended by Fire Opal and so were the wild pussycats. He ate their brains. Izuku pretended to be about to hurl, though I know he ate them. With that, everyone left after some catching up. Apparently, we slept a few days after the camp incident. We quickly healed after drinking all of the blood. We left later and headed home where we planned to relax. When we arrived at Izuku's home, we all headed to the living room, watched TV, and chatted about what we did during the attack. Apparently, Lily saw what Minta did. He tried to stab Aizawa only for Izuku's shield book's effect to stop him. After a long evening of joking, we all headed to our respective homes and went to sleep. Wonder where we will strike next. By the time I got home and headed to the basement, there was a collection of multiple relics I did not create. After moving some, I find a sleeping Lily under a big blanket. I gently shook her awake and carried her to my room where I laid her down on my bed. Get some sleep. I will look over your relics, okay? She nodded and dozed back off as I went down to check. The first few were just silly creations. A bottomless carpet bag which can hold infinite items tagged as Mary Popping Bag. And my favorite of the silly stuff was something called Gaff Stink Bombs. I kinda wish I warped to the middle of nowhere before popping one. Even tomato juice couldn't remove the smell until it faded a week later. I only know this as I warped the room a week in time. I packed them in a bag for later and winced a bit as I looked at my leg. It hasn't fully healed, but I could still walk on it. Unfortunately, Momo also had an injury like this. Should have had the idiots hold back a bit. The main reason was Dabba's fire. It turns all it touches to ash, and he used it on us. Dad was only messed up from Spinner, a stupid lizard, and some magnetic quirk person, so he is already fully healed. After messing with some funny relics, like a bottomless bottle of seltzer which is a bubbly fluid that comes out as a thick foam, I head upstairs for supper. After supper I smirk as I set up another plan using the Cilia relics. After supper I called in the girls after getting some ice packs on my burned leg and Momo's arm. Okay girls, your new job is to cause mayhem around and in UA. Please be careful where you use the stick bombs. It takes a week for the smell to fully vanish. Mariko, your job is to fight them again. Destroy any relic but the carpet bag and the stink bomb canister. I like them and they can definitely be reused. I adjust the ice pack before continuing. Now I don't want you to end anyone. When someone asks how you got and toss them this. I hand Mount Lady Minda's school ID. Now should you see All Might, Sharpie all over his face, gag present Mike, air horn Aizawa often, and force lunch rush to eat fish-flavored candy. Just make the attack horrible for them. Momo began to get up but I pulled her back onto the couch. You are not going this time. Let them have some fun, okay? She nodded. Fine, but I better be able to rip out some people's hearts next time. I agreed and I kinda wish I didn't. Lily huffed. You basically bend over backwards for her and all I got was I'll check on my relics. I'm a bride too. Midnight nodded. Yeah, I've not had any fun with you and honestly Minda was not worth this youth. You still need to make up for that. Same here. I may have started your dad's but I'm yours now, Mount Lady stated as Mariko covered her face with her ears muttering something similar. I groaned as the five bickered with Momo claiming she's higher ranked cause she was the first and my fiancé in the legal sense. I slowly stood and got myself a drink as they argued. After a few seconds I hiss at them, shut it, any louder and the neighbors will think I am a womanizer and a pimp. Then when the cops come they will do a big test and our villain sides will be revealed. That shut them up before they started arguing via telepathy. Unfortunately I heard every single mentally shouted, high-pitched insult. I mentally screamed in rage scaring them before I headed to bed. After a couple of hours they all walked into my room. I'm sitting in my chair and gaming on my PC but I pause it when they come in. What do you all want? I explained Momo was my head bride because I love her. What else do you want? Midnight walked over and sat on my bed. First off you need to treat us all equally and make up for us becoming your brides. You sealed the deal with Momo but not us. Unsurprisingly the rest agreed but Momo agreed too, which surprised me. I'm not going to screw all of you. I only love Momo and the rest of you are proving your worth before I remove your leashes. Lily sat on my desk making sure not to sit on my mouse or keyboard. That's what your deal with me was, but Mount Lady was your dad's. You wanted Mariko even if just as a spy, and Midnight, well, she's a hag. Hey, I sighed as I sat back in my seat. Her points were valid except the hag bit, that was harsh. Momo sat on my lap. How about they earn some time with you? Each mission is a little game where they gain points. They get to join us after they get all the points. She then whispered in my ear, it might make them work harder and speed up our plans. I nodded, fine, but they must earn 100 points. Each mission will have a max of 25. I may be a teenager but my hormones don't cloud my judgment. Mariko walked over, 25 each person or total. So if we all do really good we get our reward in 4 missions or will we have to do much more? I groaned tiredly. Look, it's just a base idea. Let me sleep and plan the point system out. Now go cause chaos please you four. I'll have to set up a special grade sheet for Mariko since she's playing good guy. Midnight huffed. Why can't I play hero? I have to teach some classes today. I began to slam my head into my desk, breaking it after a few hits. Fine. Momo set up Mariko with a gem type with her bunny bits colors changed. I'm thinking aguamarine and a nice blue fur or hair. Now that that's settled please get out and use the Cilia relics. I need some sleep. They left and I dozed off. When I wake up later there better be a news bulletin about UA being terrorized. I woke up and gently shook Momo awake before heading downstairs to shower and eat. When the warm water hits where Dabba's fire hit me I hissed loudly and hurried up to finish my shower. With a quick walk to the kitchen I put a new ice pack on my leg. I hope this damn burning stops soon. I regret letting Dabbai burn us. After a bit Momo stumbled down still tired. Be careful my vampire queen. Warm water will agitate the burned bits. She thanks me as Mom and Dad walk out of their room. Dad had to make a joke. You get too hyped up and Momo bit you. I hissed. No, the burns from Dabbai are still burning under my skin. Luckily, the only one really deep is on my leg. The rest are light burning compared to this one. Almost on cue, I hear hissing from the bathroom, some fumbling from a rushed shower, and Momo rushing in and putting an ice pack on her arm. May I and dab I later. That hurt. I shake my head and kiss her. Now, calm down, hun. We need him alive. We eat breakfast and Dad shifted to brother form before we headed to school. When we entered the classroom, Momo and I get crowded and someone, against all effing odds, get both of our burn spots. We hissed loudly in pain. Shoto, ice my leg and Momo's arm, please. He quickly does and I fall to the ground sighing in relief. Momo and Dad helped me to my seat as everyone looked confused. The fire villain burned us and got us pretty bad in those 2 spots. Even though our skin healed, the rest haven't. The shocking idiot apologizes and I wave him off as I sit back in my seat. Aizawa walked in and looked at the ice on Momo and I, okay, problem child. Why do you and your girlfriend have ice on you? Momo explained and he instantly paled. I am sorry, I thought you both were fully healed. Momo and I both say at the same time, so did we. Class resumes as normal with a notice that this afternoon there will be training, but since there's no B1 we will be against the support class so they can help understand our quirks for better gear. I thought for a second and raised my hand. Aizawa nodded for me to ask. Think they can get a hold of silver, holy water, rose water, holy ground, and blessed crosses? I was reading old legends of vampires and they mentioned those items. He shrugged and left the room to talk to Power Loader. That's when Ada looked at me. Aren't those items that hurt vampires? I nodded. Yeah, but I doubt they will since we can eat garlic without a problem. What does garlic do to vampires? It repels us, or at least it does all but the king and queen vampires. After a bit of us doing talking about quirk training, everyone did as I motioned Shoto over. When he got close to me I asked, remember dinner a while ago? You asked to be a vampire. He nodded as he re-iced my leg. I can do it, but it might hurt you some and you just be very careful. You will have mine, Momo, and a few other bride's quirks. I said the last bit quietly and he nods. If Momo is okay with it I will, but must I be called a vampire bride? I think vampire love would be better. I nodded and motioned him to his seat as Aizawa got close to the classroom door. Aizawa walked and said the support class will look into it. The rest of the morning was uneventful except for Shoto icing Momo and I every so often. During our English class, Present Mike yelled and broke the ice while vibrating a good part of the room. The resounding hiss made him actually crap himself. Curse my vampire-enhanced senses. It made us 3 gag loudly as we caught a whiff of it. When Present Mike returned after cleaning himself, he apologized to us and talked at a more normal tone. Midnight walked in a bit later and wrinkled her nose as Present Mike left. What's the horrible smell? Present Mike whispered in her ear, making her gag slightly. After he left, we had to read poetry, with her always choosing me to read the raunchier bits. I gave her a glare after the 3rd time and she quit. We switched to another poem said toward vampires. I smirked and slightly motioned to Momo and my dad. I then telepathically told Midnight not to react to it like us. They don't know you're a vampire bride. At first we just fidgeted in our seats, which got us odd looks. As they kept reading it, Dad and I flung ourselves out the window, with Momo following us soon after. We landed in a nearby tree and stayed there a bit mad. Heroes ran from all over the school to outside near the window and into the classroom. Aizawa saw us in the tree first. Why are you 3 in that tree? Are you why the window broke? I slowly climbed down, being careful with my leg. Midnight had us read a poem said to repel vampires. At first it just made me uncomfortable, but as they kept reading it began to hurt. It was worse than the burn from that blue fire quirk dude. Dad and Momo nodded as well. We wanted everyone to think we had limits, so our reveal hits much harder. Midnight apologized, saying she forgot about the vampire bit. The bell rang for lunch and we all ate, with his 3 drinking an extra pouch of blood. Shoto kinda cornered me after lunch. Are you okay? How bad did that hurt you? I chuckled. It didn't. I just want the others to think I have limits and weaknesses. Then when they try to fight back after we reveal ourselves, their safety precautions will be worthless. He smirked. You are devious. I nodded and poked his nose. And I know you love that about me and Momo. I left him stunned for a bit before we got ready for battle practice. We started to battle the support class. They tossed different things of dirt at me when I was fighting someone with a gas quirk. Using some mind reading, I knew which one was from a graveyard and another from a church. I grabbed the grave soil and it made my attacks much stronger until the holy ground splattered in the ground and hits the burn spot on my leg. The scream of pain I let out made everyone freeze around me. The scream had over 10 different tones, as if there were 10 demons screaming. As I screamed, I cut off my leg and hopped away from the holy ground. Once I grew a new leg, I checked and sighed relaxed as the burn was gone. Momo, of course, ran over to help me hobble away from it, so I cut off her arm right above the burn to heal her of it. Was that last clump the holy ground? If so, it made the burn hurt a whole lot more. What was this one? I show the clump of grave dirt in my hand. The student told me and I looked a bit stunned. So holy ground hurts, but grave dirt makes us stronger. May I have a glass vial or something similar? They tried to hand me a vial of holy ground and I hissed at them, "Keep that away from us." Momo was in her own fight at this time and had to flee due to a blessed cross. That's of course when the girls decided to strike. Mischief Maker became a clone of me in fire opal disguise and laughed. "So you do have weaknesses, vampire twins. Good to know." She knocked out the two Momo and I were just up against, grabbed the soil, caught the cross, and cornered us. She surrounded us in a circle of the soil and walked away laughing, leaving my dad to fight. We pretended there was a barrier around us and using some quirks make our hands flatten as if there was one. The chaos they caused using the stupid prank relics was beautiful. Within a few minutes they made the entire school look like a fraternity from ancient movies hit it. Spray paint, toilet paper, slime, eggs, and a bunch of other things. By the time it was over, Momo and I dug a bit down through concrete and made a perfect circle hole due to the soil's barrier. When the attack was over, Shoto found us and laughed. "Digging to America," I growled. "Just get the holy soil circle away from us. It's keeping us trapped and I hate it." I knew others could hear me, so I kept up the act. He used a water gun he found to get a good section of it away. When I touched it, I screamed in pain and cut off my visibly smoking hand. "That burns. Holy crap, that burns." A new hand formed, but I kept the burning one away from me. The support student apologized and said it was a mix of holy water and rose water. After a little bit, they removed a good amount of soil. I became a bat and flew through the gap. Momo mimicked me and I had to look for a blood packet. I was furious and very thirsty. As I was drinking, the idiot support class person blasted me with two separate blasters, one just rose water and the other holy water. I screamed again and removed the back of my gym outfit as my skin visibly smoked. Before the idiot could say anything, I grabbed him by his throat and lifted him up. First, I am stuck in a small ring of holy ground for over 2 hours. Then I lose my hand to a combo of those two waters. What made you think you should blast me with them separately when I am drinking blood? My eyes were no longer green but pure black with red pupils, and it truly scared him. It took Momo and Dad to stop me from ending him. I wanted so badly to remove the idiot from the gene pool, but I listened as Momo sang a calming song. I dropped him and leaned against Momo before I passed out to seem weaker. According to Momo, we were excused home and they would try to figure out tech or simple ways to avoid our weakness. I woke up at home and congratulated the girls as they showed me pictures of what all they did. Momo graded them as I told her about Shoto wanting to join us. "Go ahead, but if I start drooling ice cubes, I will hurt you." I groaned as I got up and headed to school with Momo and my dad. I'm so tempted to have Eraser reveal us already. I'm sick of all our dumb classmates. I admit I might add Shoji and Kaminari to the collection, but I think Kaminari is too pure and into Bakugo. His smile dimmed since I ended him. Momo agreed and we decided to plan it for next month right after we get our provisional hero licenses. As we walked, I began to plan our theatrics and decided, actually let's do it tomorrow. I have a very theatrical way to do it. I told them the idea and they both smirked. Let's get Shoto in on it and prove what happened is the real story. I nodded and planned that bit out as we got to school and did our morning classes. During lunch, I went onto the roof and sat in a corner as I waited for the day to be over. After a couple of minutes, I realized I wasn't leaning on the railing but an invisible wall. I checked and hissed when I realized holy ground was under the railing. Everyone in now. Something is wrong here. I didn't listen until someone dressed up as Fire Opal revealed himself and laughed. Everyone fled downstairs and I tried to follow only to bounce backwards since there was holy ground there too. The fake destroyed the cameras and formed a dome of opals around the two of us. I got ready to fight before he removed his mask. He was me but slightly older. I will make this short. I am you from another timeline. In my timeline there was no All For One. The banks were never robbed. And now it's your turn to travel through time. I began to laugh and shook my head. Very funny prank, whoever you are. Change back to normal and end this charade. He sighed and showed me a scar that was on his side from when Bakugo attacked me when I was 6. The scar is very unique and hard to mimic. I am you. Look, Bakugo gave us this when we were 6. Now only you or him would know that, and he used his quirk to heat up a metal object and pushed it there. I sat down stunned as he handed me a book that looked centuries old but was an average notebook. This is what I call the loop book. The first 2 played as a hero but the third gave up and we have looped as villains since. Now I changed yours for much better results. I created All For One, All Might, and caused the bank jobs. You know the ones you followed and ended Endeavor. I quickly read the booklet and hid it in a pocket dimension for later. Okay, you're me, but why are you here now? Why not tell me sooner? He laughed. We set a rule to wait for either the accidental time incident or when we plan fake or real time travel. I sat down and sighed as the dome started to crack. Go to my home and explain this to Mom. I'll meet you there soon, but first bust me up some. He formed his mask and beat me up. He used holy water and blessed crystals to pin me to the wall. When the dome crumbled, he cussed and vanished. I was of course screaming in pain as they pulled me off the wall and crystals. I sank my fangs into some people and slowly heal without ending them. They took me to Recovery Girl who healed me up the rest of the way. The rest of the day I stayed in bed before school ended and I trudged home between Momo and my dad. After we got mostly home, I began to walk normally and groaned a bit as I stretched and popped my bones some. When we got home, I motioned everyone to not mention anything evil. Izuku, what happened? The school called saying you were attacked. I chuckled. I am fine, Mom. My quirk kept me alive even though it was fire opal again. Is it okay if I head to my room and rest? She nodded as I told everyone that there are heroes and police around us eavesdropping through telepathy. I go to my room and find the future version of me sitting on the bed. We talk and plan tomorrow's fun little event. A bit before supper time, Shoto arrived and headed up to my room. I told him the plan and he nodded before I dropped the sound barrier and future me vanished. I pretended to be just waking up from a nap and Shoto talks me into making him a vampire lover like Momo. I sigh and agreed, gently bite him. He was silent the whole time and Momo screamed once I was done. Izuku, I just froze a soup and turned the tea into hot tea. What the F is going on? Shoto and I rushed down and laugh a bit as we swapped what was in her hands. Sorry, Momo. I made Shoto like you so you have his quirk too. That's cool. We eat supper and enjoy the evening. Once we were done eating, Shoto stayed the night and I sent a quirk message to all the girls to tell them about the show tomorrow. Everyone was ready except the trio of heroes because they have to work at the school tomorrow for one reason or another. The next day I was hesitant to enter rooms at the school as an act. When lunch hit, I stayed in the classroom and just drank the blood pouches that I brought. We changed and headed to the big gym to get prepared for the hero's license test. That is when future me and Mischief Maker, pretending to be everyone else, showed up with my mother tied up. Hello, vampire twins, look who we got. The heroes training my class tried to hold me back as I got very mad at him. Let our mother go, you sad excuse for a human being. He laughed and looked at me. Who said I was a human? With that, Shoto, Momo, Dad, and I hissed at him and charged at him. Of course this was the plan. Emeralda, Steins Gate now. The clone tossed out 4 small objects which formed into a real-time travel portal where we were sent back in time, and they threw my mother in after us. To make the next 5,000 years simple, we created the legend of vampires and werewolves, made tons of money, saw movies of the past as they were originally released, and trained our quirks. Soon we got back to when we were gated through time. Once the past me was sent through, we dropped down from the skylight looking much stronger. Finally you arrived. I hoped you'd show up sooner. I groaned and stretched. You must excuse our memory. It has been 5,000 years after all. Your time is up, past me. Everyone looked confused as he, the Mother Opal, and the Emeralda clones dissolved into dust suddenly. Momo formed her emerald dress. Mom created her weapons. Dad showed his true self. I made myself my fire opal outfit without the mask, and Shoto created a flaming ice outfit. Finally back to the present. I missed this school. So many memories. I walked to the wall and made it turn to dust as I touched it. So much energy in these walls. Quirk created concrete is so much better than the energy of emotions. I relaxed and stretched some as I showed my fangs, which are much bigger than when I was younger. So wanna hear why we are evil, or are you going to fight me? With that, Cementos, Aizawa, Midnight, Mariko, and Mount Lady started to attack me. I simply struck Aizawa and Cementos away as I bit the women, and they began to form their villain outfits and looks. The clones turned to dust and Mischief Maker bowed to me. I'm guessing you are from this loop, aren't you? She nodded and kicked back some classmates that tried to hurt me. I laughed as I stood proudly. Ever heard the phrase history repeats itself? That saying is true about the timelines. Now excuse us, we have a world to take over. I began to walk away as Uraraka yelled. I thought you were a good guy, why are you now fire opal? Mom, Momo, Shoto, and I began to laugh as it struck us as funny. I then turned to her. I was until I went through time and saw everything. Humans are vain creatures wanting stuff they can't have. I saw Atlantis sink, Caesar stabbed, and many more horrible events. My plan is to fix the world. Hey, rid of false heroes and true villains until only the pure of heart exist. While I was monologuing, Kirishima coated himself in rose water and attacked me. You ended Bakubro? Why? I smoked some as I looked at him. I didn't end him yet. You saw the one who did dissolve. Now let go, you're burning me. I punched him hard, ruining his hardened skin and sending him into the wall. We left laughing as I destroyed everything in our way. Finally done playing hero. Time to have some real fun. I was walking through the castle I have lived in for the last few centuries. I love this place, but we do need to modernize it later. Some video games and such would be nice in here. Momo nodded. True, but the bleak nature of this place is very homey with all the centuries we have been here. I chuckled. Very true, but let's make a game room and maybe a room just for us. It has been a few centuries. We laughed and I began to create everything. Once I was done, I sat on my throne and held Momo. So my vampire queen, where and who shall we target? I want to destroy another agency soon. She chuckles as she shows me a few good targets and another American hero on our turf who needs to die. Her hero name in Quirk is called Eclipse Sand. She creates sand and some bone-like structures on her arms and face which she controls like Gaara from an anime called Naruto. She is strongest during any eclipse, so we decided to hit her then. She ended over 500 civilians trying to get a simple purse thief. I saw the video, and the thief's quirk was a shield that formed out of his arms, so an easy target. We decided I would steal her quirk and then make her into a very bloody spectacle. I was kissing my vampire queen when Izuku was dragged into the room by Beach and Onyx Slut. I didn't recognize him at first and I helped him with his girl problems. I keep forgetting I used to have morals, so I try to keep it very simple and legal for him. Once he leaves, I come up with an idea. Momo, remember that odd parasite from the comic books? She grabbed multiple comics and I chose Venom. With a smirk, I created the symbiote and give him a fake host to use. Hello Venom, I made you to help us take over the world. If you help, I will remove the need for a host for you. The symbiote smiled and nodded. Will I still need to eat brains? I laughed. I can give you an infinite source of the chemical found in human brains that you need. You can eat them if you want, but only true villains and fake heroes. He chuckled. Sounds like a fun picnic. I send him off to find a host and smirk as I see who he grabs on TV. Venom had grabbed Uraraka, and because I made him much stronger, he easily puts her under his thumb. Such a good show. Looks like I will need to get corruption serum to make her truly evil, so Venom is at full power. My dad laughs. You truly are an evil mastermind, son. So how shall Eclipse Sand die? I chuckled. Tomorrow during the hour-long perfect eclipse. For the first few minutes I will be defensive before I take her quirk and use it to make her fake hero paste. We partied into the night before we struck the next morning. I went to town alone, and right before the eclipse I destroyed a few empty buildings, causing a ton of noise and attracting my target. You chose the wrong time to attack villain scum. Today I'll be really strong. The eclipse started and she started to create blood-red sand. I formed a shield on my arm and blocked each of her sand arrows with ease. When she stopped to order me to give up, I said, "Thank you for shining up my shield. Your sand was just the weakness I needed to shine and not damage it." That's when she messed up. All of her sand, every single grain of it, came flying at me to crush me. At the very last second I warped behind her and stole her quirk, the sand dropping, the bone structures falling off, and her body losing some of its muscle mass made her face show the tastiest despair I've seen in a few centuries. What's wrong? Fire Opal got your quirk. She turned and tried to hit me, only for her sand to shield me and rip the skin off of her hand. She screamed as I ripped off the skin and jumped back as I licked up some of her blood, then spat it out. Gross. You taste worse than Endeavor. I've eaten corpses that tasted better than you. I retched and grabbed a random teenager watching the battle and drank some of her blood, boosting her quirk as I did it. So much better. Oh, plus yet you taste of Katsuden. I might keep you as my blood cow. This made Eclipse Sand furious and she tossed herself at me. This time all of her skin was completely removed. While she screamed in pain, I had the sand stop her blood from getting everywhere. After a couple of minutes I removed her throat. Shut up, you serial ender. Eclipse Sand eventually died and I took the girl to my castle. What's your name, blood cow? She stuttered, saying Jolene. I put her in a bedroom stocked with anything she could want. Well, Jolene, you are now my favorite source of blood. As long you obey and take care of yourself, you'll live in luxury. Don't worry about me using you for anything other than blood. I have my own queen after all. I left her to play games on her TV as I headed to my bedroom. Momo was drinking blood from her own blood cow, as we call them. Once she was done, the boy left to his room. About time you found a new one. It's been a century since the last one. I laughed. True, but her discovery was accidental. Eclipse Sand tasted worse than a leper's corpse. Momo retched at the memory and hugged me. Venom got Uraraka full of the serum and she is almost as evil as us. I nodded and closed our double coffin. After sleeping, we both got up and I headed to the basement where Uraraka was. Hello Uraraka, what a surprise, you are the best host for Venom. She pounced and kissed me. I have had a crush on you since the entrance exam and I am glad to join your team. Venom formed a small head to speak to me. She isn't lying. It only took half a dose to get her on your side. I've made her curvier too, just in case, Master Izuku. He winked before retracting back into her body. I rolled my eyes. I do not need another sexual partner. My brides are already enough. Uraraka's eyes bulged out. Brides? I laughed. Momo, Shoto, Midnight, Mariko, Mount Lady, and a few others I've picked up over the centuries. I smirked and left the room. Venom, take her to your room and have her help decorate it. I headed to my throne room and played with the sand I gained yesterday. After messing with it, I made it into very sharp pigeons, blood shards the size of sand grains. Next battle will be fun. I'm going to destroy the Hero Bureau headquarters all over the world. Then I will destroy all hero agencies and every country's capitals. Everyone, tomorrow the real battle starts. Brides, go where I tell you and use blood sand to destroy the HB headquarters. When the day ends, we should be working on agencies and capitals. By the end of this week, anarchy will rule and then I will take over. They all cheered and I smirked. It's fun being king. I smirked as all my brides warped to where they were needed and I had Vanavity. They created the name, not me. Go after what was left of All Might. As I got them into position, I hacked into the global broadcast system and took over every channel. Hello, citizens of the world. My name is Izuku Midori. You might know me better as Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, or my most recent name Fire Opal. When it hits midnight in Japan, I will start my global attack and destroy every hero board base, every hero agency, and every capital. To avoid this, surrender to me and I will spare you all from some of my wrath, as the hero board must go. I paused for a bit and watched, using multiple quirks, how everyone is freaking out and the people in charge of the TV channels trying to stop me. You can give up trying to stop my broadcast. I am using my quirks to do this, not any machines. Now you have till midnight in Japan to surrender. If you surrender, I will make a few simple laws. True villains will be drained of their blood and ended. False heroes will lose their heads. And true heroes shall be allowed to keep working. To prove how serious I am. My newest follower, Vanavity, Shell and All Might. He is one of the biggest fake hero out there. I smirked as people looked greatly confused at this statement. All Might is a false hero for arresting people who are only villains because they looked evil, made people give up on their dreams, ending villains that were trying to change their lives, and arresting a late bloomer who couldn't control his quirk when it suddenly manifested after nearly dying. This made everyone freak out, hoping that what I said wasn't true. I smirked as I showed them recordings of everything I said. Everyone was stunned seeing All Might attack an ex-villain wearing a quirk-blocking necklace, arresting mutant-type quirks who were just helping fix stuff, him telling me to give up on my dream, and then him calling the cops after I bit him and apologized like crazy. To add more nails to his coffin, I showed them each time he or another hero attacked people for appearance, their quirks suddenly manifesting due to stress, and a lot more. Their outrage of being lied to made the air smell so much better. Now for the part I promised, All Might's death. I showed All Might sitting on his couch watching this, then looking at where a camera could be if I wasn't using a quirk. When he stood up, Vanavity cut off his head, then ate it. With the quick end over, I swapped back to my face. You all have 8 hours till Japan hits midnight. Surrender or else. I ended the hijacking of TV and kept watching people riot and do the work for me. Momo kissed me. Looks like the world is your fangs now, my king. I nodded and began to frown as each and every country said, we do not bow to terrorists' demands. I growled and sent one simple message over all the channels. Since you all want surrender, let the rain begin. When I said that, all my brides began destroying the hero board stations, ending all the members inside. People who were there for an appointment, falsely accused villains. And true heroes were spared from the wrath, but everyone else was ended. They kept spreading out their blood sand, destroying more and more stuff. Momo and I decided to walk into the nearby town square and taunt the heroes there. After we arrived, I turned on an old radio and began to dance with Momo. While we danced, we ended worthless heroes by either kicking off their heads, stabbing them in their hearts, or draining them of blood. We did this for a little bit before Aizawa walked up to us. We stopped and greeted him. Hello Aizawa, sorry about the time loop thing. I'm glad that you're a true hero. Growing up, I looked up to you because you basically fought like a quirkless person. He sighed. Why are you destroying the world then? Momo sighed. Not the world, just those who are quirk elitists and false heroes. We give quirks to the quirkless, protect those who can't protect themselves, and more. I walked over and held out my hand. Join us Aizawa and your eyes will never hurt again. You will be able to sleep all you want. Plus I will save Ms. Joke and your cats from any harm. Just shake my hand and accept my deal. He glared at me. If I accept, you must stop the attack before you destroy any more capitals and give them one more chance to surrender. I smiled. I swear on my fangs, the starters of my new life, to stop my attacks if you agree. He shook my hand and my nails dug into his hand slightly. Ms. Joke, Aizawa's 10 cats, and all their possessions appeared behind him. With his blood and mine creating a blood oath, the attack stopped with only one capital being destroyed. I smirk and Aizawa suddenly forms cat ears and a tail. Since we made a deal, I'll give you some extra for it. With that, I walked away and created a house for Aizawa on a nearby empty lot. It looked simple, but there was a lot more to it. They were teleported in along with his stuff and cats. They both quickly became a couple as Aizawa knew I wasn't one to break my word. With a quick broadcast, I sent my message. I made a deal with a hero I believe to be a true hero. I will give you all one more chance to surrender. You have till midnight in Japan in 3 days. After that, I will resume my assault. Using my quirk, I eavesdropped on many meetings about what everyone should do. No one wanted any more damage to happen, but they didn't want to surrender. Just laughing, I planned to destroy more cities. They decide to not heed my warnings, they'll pay the price. Momo and I were walking around my castle as we suddenly see something very odd. A cat that was made of smoke like Kirigiri. I knelt down and tried to pet it, only for it to hiss and run off. We followed it to see a giant green portal, another cat but with Cyber's Kai next to it, and Cyber walking out of the portal and grabbing the Kuro kitty. Hi Vamp Izuku, how have you been? Sorry about this. The kittens I found gain quirks and I'm trying to collect them all. Cyber looked a bit more muscular than last time and he was a cybernetic Nico. Honestly, it suited him. I laughed. It's fine Cyber, but why is there a Kuro kitty in a cyber paw? The kitten started to meow at Cyber and he sighed. Fine. those are your new names. I agree they are much better than Gamepad and Minijiri. Now did any others come through your portal, Cyberpaw? Some meowing from Cyberpaw as Cairo Kitty goes back home. Izuku sighs, I'll find Greycross. You go home and close the portal. Cyberpaw obeyed and Cyber leaned against the wall. Can you answer my Izuku's question, please? Momo asked sweetly but obviously a bit mad. Sorry, a few days ago we found some kittens in a lot I was cleaning. They are as smart as a human and forming quirks left, right, and center. Some are getting quirks like who they like more are just random quirks. Kuro Kitty and Kurogiri are best friends and they do portal races now in Cyberpaw and I game often. That cat is a pro at Fruit Ninja. He started to look around the floor with a holographic cover over his eyes until he found the kitten and got ready to send it back when a small Nico girl with white, pink, and green hair walked over holding an identical kitten. Daddy, how are we both holding Greycross? The Nico girl asked before the one she was holding turned into smoke and Greycross meowing proudly. The Nico girl bounced happily. Yay, another one got a quirk. What's her new name? Momo giggled. So cute. Anyways, how about Deflicity? The kitten nodded and Cyber wrote it out on a paper which he gave to the Nico. Put this in the name slot and put quirk as clones. Now I'm gonna stay here for a bittery. Now you be good for me. Mom, Dad might, and all for one okay. She nodded and he closed the portal. Momo whispered, I kinda want her as a daughter. Think we will find her here. I shrugged and Cyber's ears twitched. I'm not sure if Iri would be good in your care since you drink blood and honestly reek of evil. Momo hissed at him and he was unfazed as his metal tail split into multiple which he used to lift himself up. I'm just being honest. Being part cat lets me smell stuff like that. I kissed Momo and motioned Cyber to relax. Where did you find your Iri? I'm guessing from the scars on her arms she was abused. The next hour he told us what Overhaul did to her and where he found her. Momo and I decided to go and get her now and asked Cyber to join us as a metal Nico. He shrugged and formed a metal shell around himself. As we walked down the hall to go attack our reality's Overhaul, Onyx Slut tackled Cyber saying how cute he was thinking he was a robot. Get off me. You're denting my armor. I don't need more bruises. May will end me. I laugh as she backpedaled in shock and apologized. Cyber growled as he removes his shell, fixed the dents, and put it back on. He looked her over. Wait, is that Midnight? Momo kissed her gently. She used to be. She's Onyx Slut and one of Izuku's brides like I am. Cyber scanned them and looked over the results. Incredible. Vamp, can I copy your quirks later? Most of the ones they have are awesome and seem to be linked to you. Wait, why is Laser Farts a quirk in your collection? I couldn't help but laugh as I remembered the day Dad gave it to me. Dad gave it to me as a joke. Right after I got it I farted, destroyed a bookstore, and had to run so we wouldn't get in trouble. He laughed and shook his head. At least your father isn't a complete crap. My stepfather I guess was a hero called Dragon Lungs. He abused my mom and tried to put me under his thumb. He attacked my fiancé and daughter and I put him in jail for so long he lost his hero license forever. Momo hugged him but he laughed some. Don't worry, All Might is actually engaged to my mom and All For One is actually my dad and is changing to be a good person. We congratulate him and we kept heading to Overhaul's base. Cyber looked around and watched how people ran from us walking down the street. I guess you did something really big. I've never smelt so much fear before. I nodded and told him as he copied my quirks and made a ring of pigeon's blood sand around him. Wow, this is awesome. I'm definitely going to use this as a possible quirk for undercover work. I chuckled. How about a pigeon's blood Nico with that sand? Call yourself Blood Claw. He nodded and began to punch the ground repeatedly until a huge hole formed. Once that was done he hopped down and made his voice robotic. DNA signature found. Target is down hall. He robotically marched down the hallway he uncovered. We followed him and ended anyone who got in his way. Once he got to Eris' room he broke the door and walked in. Iri found. Please come with me. I was programmed to save you. He gently picked her up and started walking away. We followed him to the hole he made only for Overhaul to seal it up. You will not leave with Iri. She is staying with me. Cyber looked at Iri. Sorry, but you must live. He handed her to Momo who instantly cuddled her and formed an emerald shell around the two of them. Izuku Midoriya, stay back. I nodded and he launched himself at Overhaul. The flurry of punches, rings of sands, and hits with the tail surprised us all, especially Overhaul. What got me the most was the bloodlust I sensed from Cyber. So all Izukus have a seed of darkness. Good to know. What I saw next was actually a bit hot. Then again, blood turns me on. He bit and tore out Overhaul's voice box. The scream of pain suddenly turning into a gurgling noise was delicious. He then created blades where he cut off his hands and incinerated them. For the next half hour he slowly ended Overhaul. Right before Overhaul died he whispered, say hello to Mother Death for me. She will love torturing you for all eternity. With it over he broke open a new hole and we left destroying the entire base. As we walked home Momo whispered, is it just me or does blood make us both ready to go? I nodded and Cyber licked himself clean of Overhaul's blood. I kinda wish I saved some. Justice Bloodshed tastes so good. This made Momo and I chuckle before we waved goodbye to a now clean cyber. Eri was unconscious through most of the battle thanks to Momo using Midnight's quirk. We got home and took care of Eri. For the first day she was apprehensive of us until we proved we wouldn't hurt her. After that we played games, ate multiple apple recipes, and I made her a Nico since Cyber told us she would love it. She did and loves us even though we are evil. We saved her and wants to see Metal Kitty, as she calls Cyber, again. I told her that he was another me and kinda taught her about other realities. She wants to meet another her now. All my brides love her and she loves having multiple moms. Mommy Momo, Mama Onyx, Mama Gem, and Bun Bun Mommy. There's also Uncle Frosty and Auntie Treble. We decided to extend the wait time for the next attack so we could play with Eri. Momo and I agreed on one thing. We should have rescued her sooner. She is so precious and we absolutely love her. Even Ice King Shoto is smitten by our little snow kitten as we call her. I walked down the street with Eri on my shoulders, her ears and tail twitching and moving around as she looked around. Papa, can I be a vampire like you? I know it's frowned upon but I like you and Mama. I shook my head. Sorry Snowflake, but you don't deserve a thirst for blood like us. You can stay a Nico and we will keep you alive as long as you can stand it. Her ears folded. Okay, can I get a kitten though? I chuckled. You are a kitten but sure. I'll see if I can find the quirk kittens in this reality like Cyber or Mecha Kitty as you called him did in his world. She cheered happily then hissed when we both realized a ring of false heroes around me. Release the girl and surrender Midoriya. You have no right to threaten the world. I sighed. Eri, be a sweetie and climb up the telephone pole but don't touch the wires. Also cover your eyes just in case. She nodded and leapt from my shoulders and onto a telephone pole across the street and climbed up it. Now let me say this. I extended time so you all can create treaties so that some chaos is contained. Should you attack me I will reduce the time left. You guys have to consider it. Now let me play with my daughter or you'll end up my next meal. Some shook but the rest stood firm. After a couple of minutes of a standoff one punched me in the back and broke his hand. 1 hour removed from ceasefire due to an attack against me. I stated softly but sounded like it came from everywhere and in every language. After that all of them tried to end me. Once they wore themselves out and turned my body into sludge they cheered thinking they won. That's when I reformed behind them and slow clapped. Bravo idiotic false heroes, you just removed a week from the ceasefire. I made countdown timers fill the sky and appear in the corners of all phones, PCs, game systems, etc. This scared them all and I stepped forward. Walk away so I don't get your foul blood on my clothes. I rather be clean as I have playtime with my daughter. That's when I suddenly heard hissing and a woman yelling. I turned to see a female false hero trying to take my daughter off the pole. My anger spiked and the countdown clocks changed to 2 days. For attacking my daughter you all have 2 days to surrender or else I will continue the blood rain. With that I marched over to the female hero and threw her at the other heroes. Momo came flying down the road and made sure Eri was okay as she heard me yelling. Once she was sure Eri was safe I backed away and shielded Eri. When Eri got a simple cut Momo went ballistic on the rose bush that gave it to her. Mama Momo POV. I was furious. Someone tried to hurt my snowball. Who did it? Who tried to attack my daughter? With only the female having claw marks that were still bleeding I grabbed her by her neck. So you dared to hurt my snowflake. My princess who we saved from an abusive guardian. Why would you try to hurt her? The fake heroine spit in my face. Screw you Vamp Beach. I wiped her spit off my face and extended my nails. Apologize to Eri or I'll really slowly end you. Another spit and I sighed. You fake heroes never listen. I pinned her to the wall and formed emerald cuffs to keep her there. With her secured I ended the other false heroes quickly by cutting off their heads and removing their hearts which I put in blocks of ice for supper. With supper grabbed I walked over to the bound idiot. Now should I start with your face, arms, or legs? I traced her body with my long nails as I planned out how to end her. That's when I smelt something off. She had plastic surgery done which is illegal to have as a hero beyond a facelift and to repair ruined faces. She had a ton done that she smelled like rubber and plastic. Lip injections, breast implants, butt implants, had fat implants on her hips, and who knows what else. The SXY hero, Captain Fantasia. More like Captain Plastic Barbie. I slowly formed a very jagged emerald knife and put it to her face. I know where I am going to start on you. Her begging for her life made it so much better as I began to remove her outfit by cutting along the seams of her outfit. Once she was nude I began to cut off her tats. I barely cut off a fourth of either one before her breast forms popped out. They were still clear and brand new. So that's why you took a month vacation. You got new effing tats. Captain Plastic was crying as I began to cut off and out the rest of her beauty enhancements. By the time I was done she looked like a stick figure. With a smirk I took a picture of her with her plastic parts and uploaded it. The caption read, "Why I hate fake beauty heroes." I burned the mess I made and sent a message saying names of the false heroes I ended. After cleaning myself up I headed over to Izu and Eri. Sorry about that Eri, no one gets to hurt my daughter. She nodded and told me she wanted to be a strong vampire like us. I shook my head. Eri, we eat other people to live. We don't want you to have to do the same as us. She pouted. But I want to be strong like you too. Izuku sighs. How about we have a strong true hero train you some? Lightly for now, and eventually you can do our training, okay? You'll be one of the few humans with pink muscles only. We waited for a bit before she nodded and hugged us both. I picked her up and started to walk home with Izu carrying supper for us and our brides. Are human hearts tasty? I chuckled. Depends on the human's health. The healthier the person, the better. Even some heroes have bad hearts from bad habits. Eri tilted her head. Does that mean when you take over there will be human farms to feed our family? This made Izu actually laugh. The laugh was so pure my still heart gave a few beats. Of course not, Eri. We don't need their hearts for food. We drink their blood and from time to time we eat meat. Hearts are a perfect mix of both. We do have mostly willing people as our blood sources, which we take awesome care of, but that's it. Eri thought for a second. So if I had tasty blood, I could be a blood source. I held her at eye level. You will never be a blood source again. I don't care how much you believe you owe us. That beak-wearing jerk did more than enough of that. You are our daughter, which is way better than being a blood source. Izu instantly said the same, but said that if she so much as bleeds because someone pushes her, he will end them. We arrived at home and sent Eri off to play with her aunts and uncles, as she calls them. Everyone here loves her and she loves being near Shoto. Makes sense since he is very warm with his quirk. As I made both our blood sources and our vampires' meals, Izu ran off for something. By supper time he wasn't back yet and I was worried. I was washing dishes with Onyx Slut when Eri screamed in joy. We both ran to see what was going on when we saw Eri surrounded by lots of kittens. Izu was panting and flying to get. How the F is the kitten walking on the ceiling? I just cleaned up there. I see you. He froze and chuckled. Sorry, Momo. I had to get Eri a kitten, and what's better than a bunch of kittens with quirks? They will gain quirks of those they like. Remember Kuro Kitty and Cyberpaw? I found them. I growl at first and relax. Get the kitten off my ceiling and I'll create an Eri-sized kitten obstacle course so Eri and the kittens can run it. He quickly caught the kitten and lead them all to a room with heating pads and a litter box, as he had this planned for a while. I love him, but I might nail him into a coffin alone tonight. I sat on my throne and watched as almost every country denied to submit to me. The main thing that made me curious was the messages were almost identical. Only differences were country's name, their view of my quest for equality, and that they shall never give in. When they saw a few give in and become part of my team, they called them weaklings and traitors. I watched as people flooded from the country as they disagreed with surrendering to me. Once they were all in, I only had Japan, the Philippines, Australia, and Russia. Russia surprised me the most, but then I found out the quirkless took control and joined me. I of course rewarded their pure of heart and created a system to find and weed out any spies. Only one spy was found on any of the countries that surrendered. I kicked that spy into America. Not joking, I drop-kicked that bastard. I kinda love the mental image of some poor fool getting drop-kicked by the muscular, fanged cinnamon roll. With that done, I planned my next attack, and Momo was having fun showing Eri the countries that surrendered. Eri loved playing with the kangaroos and the bunnies from their respective places. When she saw snow in Russia, she understood her nickname was based on her hair and played with it. Once they were both back in my castle, I started the first attack. Using multiple quirks, I created unbreakable metal and gem bridges across to Asia. Instead of sending any of my new followers, I went alone with an army of what looked like gem and holographic statues. When I was near China, I smirked and started a broadcast to the entire world. To prove how powerful I am, I alone will take over China with just 3 of my quirks. I use Living Gem, the Code, and multi-broadcast. Let the fun begin. I simply walked over the bridge and onto the soil of China, only for a holy water bomb to splash me. The water had no effect, and I began to laugh loudly as I chipped away a bit of my now porcelain skin, showing my pigeon's blood flesh. What part of Living Gem did you not get? Wait, did no one tell you about my multiversal counterparts? Oh well. With a wave of my hand, the flood of statues came flying off the bridge as a flood of energy and pigeon's blood. After a week of me just having my clones march and peacefully push back everyone who tried to attack me. After that, the clones I had created in Russia began to march south into the west where able. It only took a month to gain control of Europe and Asia. With that done, I yawned and made sure the world know I just did that without any casualties, and if they don't surrender, I will get worse. The USA actually tried to nuke Japan. I recorded me literally eating the nuke and just burping some smoke. That's one spicy meatball. With me eating that nuke, they sent more and a lot stronger ones. My clones simply ate them as I did while I walked on water to them. Once I got to California, I simply said, boo. The beach cleared so fast I was stunned. You would have thought everyone had a speed quirk. I began to form a wall of clones that slowly marched, surrounding all of both North and South America. With the wall created, I warped to Africa and did it there as well. With them all surrounded, I yawned and warped home to play with Eri. I missed my Fang Queen and my Snowball Princess. 3 months away was long enough. As I got home, Eri and Momo tackled me. Eri was begging me not to eat a nuke again. Momo was beating me up for scaring all of them, especially them. I of course apologized and showed them some stuff I bought for them. Eri loved the cat plushie and Momo loved my gift to her. Let's just say I had a lot of time with her to make up on. With Momo finished catching up with me, I showered, became flesh, and played with Eri. We had what she called the Nico races. There was an obstacle course she made that needed you to have the Nico quirk to have a chance. We raced twice before I learned the course and began to win. After that we played tag, hide and seek, catch, and the normal bonding stuff. When a few days had passed, Africa surrendered and wanted a treaty. Of course I gave the pure of heart good quirks, removed them from evil hearts, and set up the new equality laws. With Africa under my thumb, I went back to play with Eri and create new quirks and relics to cause trouble for USA in particular. Let's just say I might just wipe them all out. So many impure hearts are there. I walked through the mess I created. No one was left. Not a single person was left. Each heart I found here was so corrupt and evil. The USA is no more. I destroyed it all and I regret it. They may have been a corrupt country, but I had to erase everyone, including kids. The pets still live, but I might have to erase them too. There's too many pets left behind and I can't take care of them. I was lied to by their current president, a person who, in the public eyes, was a nice man who only looked out for his citizens. He wanted to make a treaty with me in his office. What happened was far from what I was hoping. It was a trap and it almost ended me, as I had removed my immortality quirk a long time ago. He had a quirk that can end people if he removed his glasses, similar to Medusa. I was turned to stone and for 3 days I was stuck that way. He laughed and boasted that he beat me. After his 10th time mocking me, I broke through the stone shell and growled, "Shut the F up. That was the best nap, except you kept effing mocking me." I then ended him on global television with a simple beach slap. Needless to say, I wanted blood. That's when his bodyguards, high on a quirk-boosting drug, tried to end me. They were slightly harder to end. I had to destroy their bulls, then beach slap them. With them dead, I drank all of the trigger on them and ended all of the USA with no problems at all. I think I will have Dad figure out the pet issue. I feel sick. Momo POV. I saw Izuku stumble into the castle and I instantly brought him to the medical room. Our version of Recovery Girl couldn't save him. Izuku took too much trigger and his body if literally ending him. There's no way to save him. Once we found out that, Izuku instantly turned to dust, crying and apologized for being a rage-filled fool. I collected the dust from Izuku's body and quickly used the quirk-making quirk to warp to Cyber Izuku. "Cyber, I'm Vamp Momo. I need you to save my Izuku." I scared his girlfriend May, damn gearhead, and their Eri. We talked for a while and he returned to my world, where he found Izuku's soul and put it into a new body made from his own blood and the dust from his body. Cyber then beach slapped my Izuku. "Keep your ass away from Trigger. I can't save you next time. I don't want to lose another person." He then warped home sad. With Cyber gone, I slapped my love and then literally beat his ass. "You will recreate immortality and keep it. I don't want to lose you again." He promised and we went to bed with me tying him down. "You are not free of your punishment, but..." Izuku POV. While me going trigger happy really made Momo mad. I'm so glad we had Onyx slut knockery out for the entire night. While I love Momo, I must never make her mad again. The next day I had trouble sitting and had to drink a lot of extra fluids. "I hope you learned your lesson, Izuku. Sorry I was dragged into it," Shoto said as he gave me more food. I nodded and ate my food. No more trigger or any other booster. I'm even afraid to touch Viagra now. All my brides laughed at the joke and we had a nice day. I set up a bunch of laws for it all to be good for Quirkless and the Quirk. Momo created lots of shelters for abused people. Shoto made some amusement parks for kids and adults. Eri wanted to do something, so we created a lot of pet shelters in the USA with people from all over the world working in them. My goal is done and I think the world is now a much better place. All false heroes are now in jail. The falsely imprisoned people are released, and now only pure hearts have quirks. I think we will have fun raising Eri and the kids I will have with Momo. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.